Bye.
Hello and welcome to your favorite Stat Check podcast, host's favorite Stat Check podcast. It's time for Take All Comers, episode 39, Defend Stronghold, West Coast Warbands 2026. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler Bortel, and I'm joined by
your other hosts, the last surviving guy in Lamarte's unit, Lucas Stroller.
And with me, not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 of the specialist guests, including...
That's Max.
Alex.
Oh, are we? Luke
Ian
flipped on your screen, Tyler.
Seaver, John.
and all the way down there. Hell yeah. Welcome in one. Welcome all. We are back from the West Coast Warbands 2026. It is the 8s in the States event of our dreams that we have been waiting for, that we have been chilling for, that we have positioned our team season around, and we are super excited to bring back a report of some fantastic games and some fantastic teams matches. Now, naturally, with that being said, there are 7 of us here. Sorry, From couldn't quite make it, nor could our wonderful coach Skylar. We'll probably get him on another episode. But we do have a ton of stuff to cover, so we're only going to see some of the games. If there's something that you saw that was interesting that you wanted to hear about that didn't get talked about, DM someone. We'll talk to you about it later. But before we jump into any of that, and there's going to be a lot of that, I do got to check in with the boys real quick. How are we doing today, Lucas?
Sorry, I was doing my God-given job of posting the links. I'm doing good, man. This last week was a long one. Recovering from West Coast Warbands. The 3 days is a lot. The lots of sickness was a lot. The travel was a lot for those who are coming out of town. So yeah, it was a bit of a slog, but we got through it. Had a nice restful weekend now, and kind of settling back into things. My 40K excitement right now, despite the dog shit meta we are in, is actually pretty high, because holy shit, our CSM eating good right now, and that it is just so much fun to be just like have a palette, or what's it called, a platter of delicious new models shoveled down my gullet every single week. I'm like, oh stop, I'm already so full, and they're like, Defiler, okay, I'm gonna vomit. It's so great, man. I absolutely love it. And so, yeah, I just got what did I get? I got 2 boxes of Raptors last Tuesday. They're already built and primed. They're going to get painted after these 15 Legionaries that I've been putting off for the last 2 years. And then I've got Huron, Masters of the Maelstrom, and the new Lords of the Maelstrom box pre-ordered as well. So lots of new CSM stuff coming in, and pretty excited about it all. How about, are we checking with everyone, or is that going to take too much time? Ian, how you doing, mister?
Dude, like you said, this last week was so long, dude. It was brutal.
Yes.
I honestly can't believe it's already Sunday, because, man, I have to go back to work tomorrow. Dang, man. But other than that, I'm chilling, I'm still enjoying 40K. Like you said, we got a dog shit meta going on right now. It's not fun, but I am trying to find some of the fun things in it, this building, looking around at all the cool stuff that's happening with all the new models. So yeah, that's kind of been my week. Mr. Siebert, how's your week been?
It's been pretty solid. I definitely had a case of the Monday afterwards. It's a weird hangover without any alcohol involved. But I played Orcs. I moved a ton of models over the weekend. So I naturally had dreams about playing knights and custodes and stuff. So I'm currently painting my custodes in anticipation of playing a much smaller model count army. How are you, Alex? How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. I played an army with 30 models, and it was awesome. I felt great. It's also a bird-related army, which is following my natural progression from T-Sense to Raven Guard. So soon I'll run out of armies. I've been spending every spare dollar I have on Etsy witches, hoping to get the meta to change. But thank God for teams where you don't have to play anything you don't really want to unless your coach hates you. And yeah, we're just in team season. I've been doing birds, and birds are fun. Mr. Max, how about you?
I'm good. I was feeling a little sick heading into the team's tournament. Ended up not hitting me during the weekend, and then I got sick this week, so I got out of work for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But it's all right. I just make pizza, which is nice. I played guard, but it was very transport heavy, so I didn't have to move a lot of models around. And guardsmen die so quickly, you just kind of scoop them up in a handful, which is nice. But overall, I had a great, very fun weekend. Not very restful weekend, but a fun one. How are you feeling, Trent?
The 3 days were long, but the endorphin high after it was all said and done with my personal performance and our team's performance was pretty good. So the week was easy, transitioned right back into work, and I'm excited to keep playing Death Guard, which is rare for me. So here we are.
His smile and optimism restored.
Very
And
nice.
Tyler, how are you, Tyler?
Yeah, bro, I'm doing great. I had a similarly fantastic endorphin-led week. Just kind of coasted off of how much I love empty tables, and set up a bunch of other empty tables. I've been working at a new job this week, which is a lot of fun. It was actually really awkward because I thought I wasn't going to start until after the event, and then they're like, "Hey, man, can you start like a couple days earlier?" And I was like, maybe. Well, what does that mean? Bye. But no, we're doing real well, having a lot of fun. It's crazy to me that this weekend, it's felt really long, actually. I'm very excited to get back to work on Monday, but I'm more excited to get back to playing Warhammer because this was an awesome thing. So we're going to jump quickly into the comp a little bit, talk about what we were trying to do. Some people were mentioning the armies they were playing, but I want to get a quick rundown on everyone. Give me the top down on what your list was and what, at least in your opinion, you were here to do with it, what matchups you were really hoping to see or not see, or what roles you were hoping to have in the pairing somewhere. I'll start with myself. I am playing the same Tau list that I was on the show talking about last time, the Storm Surge Triptide Edmont Ka list with the Pathfinders Triple Piranha and the beautiful Kroot package. I love this list. It's so much fun. It is a fantastic first defender list. We didn't add it to the comp with first defending in mind because we thought that our Krons were going to run Shatter with DDAs, but once we switched that over to 5 Catan, which Fromm is not here, but he was playing 5 Catan. Crazy, innovative stuff, I know. It became clear that I should just be first defending most of the time, so I did that every single round. Got a light table, blew someone off of it, and then moved on with my life. So that was my role in the team, was to do that. Let's just go in a circle this time. Mr. Max, what were you playing?
I was playing guard. It was pretty transport heavy, infantry heavy. It was Grizzled Company, of course, but the little, I guess, the odd thing with the list was Zero Bolgren, classic double Dorn. I was kind of looking to blunt, but if I got a good matchup, push and take advantage of being fast with lots of bodies with OC to dump on objectives. Yeah, I feel like I didn't necessarily accomplish that this weekend, but we'll get a little more into that as we go through the rounds. Yeah, how are you feeling about it, Pina? Alex Pina?
Good. I was somewhat last minute coerced onto Sint Legion, which is good because that play style really drives with me. I have not played 5 idiots in the whole edition, so it was like a mix of T-Suns and Deathwatch where you just kind of roll up, win your natural, and then you push people to the sky. If you were T9 or less, you had a really bad time, and if you were T10 or above, we could play a game. And that's what they did. It was nice. Changed some people's lives for the worse. We'll do John next and then go down to Trent afterwards.
Sweet. I played Orcs, Warhorde, Big Gaz Brick, but with the Pain Boy with the movement enhancement, Sodgrod's Brick, and then 20 Beast Snagas in a truck. Battle wagon. It was, to take on the melee matchups and a bully mixed arms was my role. I tried Bully Boys going into it, did a lot of reps trying to get that army to work, and it just didn't quite jive. I just found that the damage output wasn't quite there, but it scored really well. But I didn't really have a problem with that with Warhorde. Let's go, Trent.
Played Death Guard, Mortarian's Hammer. Pretty standard Mortarian's Hammer shell, with a few things that I've added in just to adapt to the points changes the Death Guard got. So we're running the Plague Marine Brick with the Plague Caster and a Biologist Putrefier, standard Rhino, and then 2 Lords of Virulence, 1 to stand in amongst all my vehicles thrown up, 1 to join 1 of 2 units of Death Shroud Terminators that I had. Trash is just 30 Poxwalkers and a unit of spawn, and then the guns, which is the standard shell, is 3 heavy blight launcher drones, 2 plague burst crawlers. General thing I discovered with our meta is that a lot of people are running greedy trash light, so the 6-inch deep strike is huge. And then I just really love having enough trash and various things to drag people out into the objectives and shoot them to death, and then have them tell me they were surprised Death Guard killed them. So that was the game plan. Anyways, Ian, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I was playing Sisters. As you can see from my title, I was the Emperor's Fiercest 7-up Leadership Warrior. Silver Tide, baby. I had no castigators. It was just 30 Sacrosants, a bunch of reactive moving dominions, and the goal, it's here to blunt. I'm here to get my 10s and walk away. Whether it be Catan, Sint, or War Leaders, doesn't matter. I'm looking to get the 10 points and come back to my team saying, I got your 10 points. And more or less, I think I did an okay job at that. I kept getting into matchups that were not super enjoyable. And we can go over that when we get into the rounds. But yeah, that was kind of the idea of what I was bringing to the weekend, and more or less, I think I succeeded. So can't complain. Lucas, what were you bringing?
Yeah, I was kind of moving around. I was exploring a couple different armies to try to figure out what I wanted to play. Played some EC, played some World Leaders, played a little bit of CK. Ultimately, we had a person swap out of the team, and that left a void in our Marine slot. And I decided to fill that void and play some Blood Angels. So I was playing a very greedy, kind of combat-heavy Blood Angels style with no tanks at all. It was 15 Sanguinary Guard. It was 2x10 Death Company with jump packs. It was 15 JPI, and then just kind of like some scoring units, a Scout, an Intercessor, a Combi Lieutenant. And yeah, the goal was to try to find melee matchups and brutalize them. And anyone that was kind of a more mixed arms or shooting build, if I got that army on my table choice, I could Thunder Punch those matchups pretty good as well. Kind of a mixed bag of results, like some others have said as well. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and I'm excited to talk about a couple of those trials and tribulations over the next hour or two, or 4 probably.
Hell yeah, man. I do want to bring up, as Lucas and Ian kind of alluded to there, we did have a lot of last minute moves in our comp here after one of our players, unfortunately, due to some personal stuff, had to drop out kind of last minute. He was originally on Ultras, and we were without a player, and specifically without a player on one of the best armies in the game. I want to give a massive shout out to our boy, Mr. Trent, down there. For those of you who haven't met him before, Trent is a Team USA guy. He is a greater Pacific Northwest area local, kind of. The Idahoans claim to be in the PNW all the time, but we absolutely love him to death. He stepped up, came on in, and did an absolute incredible job. You'll hear all about it over the course of the episode, but he stepped up in our times of need over and over again. Big shout out to Trent for filling that up. And then also big shout out to Lucas and Ian and From and Alex for all getting pivoted to make this all work. We switched 6 of our 8 guys, basically. Just Max and John kept doing what they were doing to make this all work from a comp perspective. So not ideal by any stretch of the imagination in that regard, but where we ended up at, I think we can all agree was a pretty good spot. I was very happy with the armies that we took. So let's get right into it. Let's talk. I didn't put slides here for some of these pictures. We got to do a little bit of an event review though, because oh man, we talked this event up to hell and back, and we did not do it justice. This was way cooler than I could have possibly imagined it being. I got to get the photo up here, but someone jump in and talk about some of the things that made this event especially awesome.
So yeah, what I didn't really realize at first was it was on Hayden Island, I think it's called, which is on right immediately off of the I-5, right as I-5 transitions from Oregon into Washington. So Hayden Island is this long kind of sandwich looking island that's nestled right in the middle of the Columbia. So you get off of I-5 and you're on this tiny little, let's go, the banner. You're on this tiny little island. You drive up to the Holiday Inn, you walk inside, and the moment you walk into the convention hall, whatever it happens to be called, you see out the back and you see Vancouver, Washington. So you see Washington, and then you go out onto that porch, and you're basically right above the Columbia River. You can look down and see the water. So it was really, really lovely. And I really enjoyed getting to go out and just like feel the river breeze on my face when I was, getting a little stuffy or hot in there or whatnot, needed a breather. I don't know if any of y'all went out on the porch, but it was really nice. Other than that, I mean, it was I think we rolled dice with 28 teams.
21.
21?
22. We definitely got to an even number. It was 22 teams, so 176 people.
22 teams, which is pretty damn dope. We had folks from all over the place. We had like a Montana team. I think we had XPZ Nevada. We had a couple California teams. The winners of the event came from Florida, the Florida Alliance. And so it was cool to see folks from all over. I was personally a little bit worried that this was just going to be a PNW local event. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's always cool to see folks coming from all over the place. This was honestly very Challengers Cup-esque, where there's folks flying from all over the states, which is cool.
A few other things worth commenting on in terms of some of the prep and logistics that went in on the part of our organizers. Obviously, you're looking at this sick banner right here. That's not us, that's them. Instead of the capes like they did at Challengers, everyone got these sick, like, I don't know if they're cotton or linen or whatever, these big cloth banners with your logo on it and the WCW 2026. This is your pennant. And every round, they would take your pennant and bring it over to the table where your pairing was happening and hang the pennants next to each other side by side like a night duel. So you always knew where your guys were.
It was fucking sick.
So cool. I've never seen this done at any event before. I'm mad that WTC doesn't do this because it's so freaking cool. That was awesome. The goodie bags, as Ian was pointing out there, fantastic. Can I get... There you go.
Yeah.
They gave us 8 objectives, so everyone got an objective marker with our logo and WCW on it. And they gave out the sick custom WCW token set that has what? Battle Shock, Advance, Fallback, and doing
Taking an action.
Yeah.
Yep. It's great.
I don't want them to fall out, but you can.
There it
delete
is.
them.
Great set of tokens.
They
all
came with
magnetized
like
together.
a bunch of tokens. Each one has like a stack filled.
Yeah.
So,
Does anyone have their metal card by chance? I realize mine is like in the garage.
I have my
Metal
they gave the ones that they made for us.
Yes, the pairing cards.
We use our own custom pairing cards, but thanks, Alex has got in there. They give you custom engraved anodized aluminum pairing cards. Show me the back, Alex.
This is from a previous event.
Oh, that's the old one. That's not the card. But the ones this event have your logo engraved on the back, and then your faction on the front. Does Siebes have his there? Yeah, awesome. There it is. There's the back. Sweet. So those were sick. And then there's the front with the action on it with the name both upside down and right side up. That was great. We brought our own pairing cards because we're geeks and we like our logo a little bit too much. But like really awesome stuff. Those are super cool and they're nice. They're actual. You can Amex check them. They're really sweet. So as far as that kind of stuff is concerned, 11 out of 10. I've never been to an event with nearly as good swag as this. It was, in addition, as Flip points out, it's a great little take-home prize, but also the trophies that were available were awesome. The winning team went home with 8 trophies for like best general, best overall, and best paint, I'm pretty sure. They handed out stuff for best in factions, which was super cool. Like on every logistical side of this, fantastic. The venue was awesome. The terrain was awesome. It's all these really nice custom 3D printed or laser cut stuff that all looks really good. Like I did not have a logistical complaint about this event beyond that lunch probably should have been a little longer, and that's being fixed for next time. But like, in terms of the actually hard stuff that isn't just like words on a page,
yep,
immaculate.
Great.
They are talking about getting a much larger venue for next year because every single team who went this year was like, we'll be back and we'll be bringing friends. This is going to become a staple of teams in the US. You do not want to miss this one. If you missed it this year, you will be missing out a lot. Freaking fantastic. Massive shout out to John, massive shout out to Alex and to the rest of the team there, the rest of the judges. James was judging. I don't remember the full list of everyone who's involved in organizing, but just stellar events. Really proud of our local Pacific Northwest scene for putting on that as our call out to the rest of the world, regardless of what the meta was like. Just awesome stuff. Anyone have any other comments they want to put out on the event itself before we jump into games? Cool. Awesome. We're gonna go start running right on through it then, because there is a lot to talk about. So our first matchup, and I will be share screen. that one. Cool. I'll put up our little pairings table. If you haven't seen me do one of these before, this is the full extent of. Oh, that's not the right thing. You're not looking at the right thing. What? Oh, I just need to remove this, add this. Okay, so this is the totality of the pairings. You can see the whole thing here, along with the tables that were picked, the predictions, and the results. I'm not going to go through the whole matrices. We don't have time for that. But this was into CP reroll. This was, I believe, all of their first team event, and some of them like very early first, second, third kind of tournaments. A lot of narrative guys, great dudes. Had a ton of fun with them. As you can see, the results were a little bit aggressive on our part. I played into the Necron player who had 2 Catan with his Cursed Legion, which was sick. He's got the Destroyer cult detachment, which I hadn't seen on the table yet at a tournament at least. I killed his last not Catan shaped object turn 3. His last Catan turn 4 was a 20, but like very cool army in theory. We can just go in order here. Mr. Pena, looks like you played CSM.
Yep, I played Packbound Zealots. So I had to respect his shooting a little bit, but I killed everything that wasn't a Vindicator or a Forge Fiend, and then at the end of the game, I was on all the objectives. So it was good.
Cool. Mr. Siebert running into Death Guard and running through them. Oh, man.
Yeah, I played Scott. I went first, so I was on WTC heavy pretty much the whole weekend. I just shoved up, staged really aggressive, and then we played the rest of the game in his deployment zone, basically.
Yeah, it sounds about right. A recurrent theme that you'll see in this is I first defend, Sieb second defends. This Orcs list takes fantastic advantage of these heavier boards, and a lot of guys at this event. Oh, I didn't mention about the format. It's 4 GW tables, 4 WTC tables, where they change exactly which tables it is every single round, even if it's the same deployment. It's a different set of tables. But as a result of that, a lot of guys were not quite as familiar with WTC as Siebes was, and he was able to take maximal advantage of that. Mr. Max here attacks into Tau and turns that yellow into a booyah. What happened there, brother?
Yeah, that was fun. Well, the nice thing was it was Tau. It was, I want to say it was Modka. I'm pretty sure it was Modka. No. It was experimental prototype cadre. That's what it was. So I've been practicing into Tau, into Modka, which is really, really fast. That had been great practice. So, just the familiarity with profiles and data sheets and how those all line up into my profiles and data sheets really, really helped. I definitely thought it was going to be closer to maybe a 12 or a 14, but luck was on my side. Big old Riptide explosion in his shooting castle, killing Shadow Sun and a hammerhead, which was really nice, and it just kind of spiraled from there. My opponent's name was Greg. I just want to say, like, this was probably he was a great opponent. When games don't go your way and you have those like 1 in 6 chances of a big boom that kind of screws up a game, your mental can kind of spiral, but he really kept it together. He was just a pleasant human being to play against. And just really, really respect that, being able to keep up that really good attitude in 40K, even when you're in, behind and luck isn't going your way. So, great game to Greg. It was very, very fun. Over to you. Looks like Lucas.
Into the scrum. We scrum defend Lucas, and he picks their Marines. These are the Salamanders, I think, with the Repulsor, Land Raider, and Land Raider Redeemer.
Yep.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, this was a wild one. This man decided he wanted to play the game right away. And I'll go into a couple specifics here, but it ends up resolving quite quickly. He draws Assassinate turn 1 and drives his Land Raider onto the middle objective and disembarks his massive Adrax brick. And he's like, "Do you want to reactive move your Combi Lieutenant?" I'm like, No, you can just charge him. It's all good. He charges right into that Combi Lieutenant, pulverizes him with like 40 damage, and we just start fighting right away. Dante goes out, kills that unit. It's just trades back and forth. Firestorm's really cool. I like Firestorm a lot, but unfortunately, like even remnant squads after he's shot me and overwatched me and stuff are still like cleaning out entire units of his just because like they're basic Space Marine bodies, and the Land Raider isn't exactly tough against my army. So yeah, it was a good game overall against Ryan. Really fun opponent, but ended up being a big win for me just because I ended up winning the scraps at the end of the game.
Hell yeah, dude. Up next, Mr. Ian, attacker extraordinaire, going into Leagues of Votan and coming back with a pretty penny. Is that an 18, brother? What happened there?
18. Yeah,
yeah,
so I played against Alex, and if I remember correctly, I went second. And I think that he just had faith in his land forts to sustain through all of the meltas, because Vol was off the board, and he's like, all right, Vol's not on the board. We're gonna go ahead and rush for it as much as possible, see what we can sustain, and get the fight started immediately. And at first it was looking really, really good for him. If I remember correctly, I fired all 3 immolators into 1 land fort, failed to wound it at all, and I'm like, well, this is not looking good. And then 1 squad of Dominions just picks up the land fort, which I guess Meltas will do that, man. Like,
I hate sisters. I hate sisters. I hate sisters.
Eventually, some Melta saves are going to go through, and when there's a 6 lying in the pool over there, we're going to go ahead and pick up that 6 and pass you 8 damage. So I mean, it is what it is. He was a pleasant opponent to play against, but it was, yeah. I mean, Melta's going into things without invulns, and eventually things started to crumble, and that's kind of the vibe of the game.
Very nice. And last but not least, those Votan were too scared of the Death Guard smoke. This is foreshadowing for later. So Mr. Trent falls out into the World Eaters and does some nasty things to them as well. How'd that game go, Trent?
I played against Dakota, and he was a nice opponent for sure. I did educate him on exactly what a Plague Burst Crawler does, and he surrounded a lot of important pieces around his 20-man Berserker Brick, and through my splashing mortals and just overall damage to that unit, and the ability to basically prevent it from blood surging, because it would just go into an open shooting lane. I kind of just ended the game there on my first shooting phase. So that's just kind of what happened, There's definitely a lot more game to be played that did occur, but that was pretty much just the attritional advantage that set him on such a back foot that he wasn't going to recover. So
yeah, for sure. Mortarian's Hammer has been out of the limelight for so long. I think most people seem to have kind of forgotten about it, but all of the nerfs that army took, in my recollection, are mostly efficiency things and not actually damage reductions, right? All the
100%.
stuff still works. It's just more expensive now, and man, does it still hurt, especially on those early turns. Nice, sweet. So, and then Fromm ends up into Eldar, puts up a 13, 5 Catan, the weakest score of the round. Typical. No, we love you, Fromm. But that was a way to start off the weekend and running at 143 to 17. So feeling real good about ourselves, ready and rearing up for our next round and into some opponents that were a little bit more prepared for what we had coming for them. Round 2, is that Mastercrafted? I'm realizing that all my things are on the same share, and I shouldn't go over that. Was Mastercrafted round 2?
I believe
yes.
so. Let me double check though.
It was Mastercrafted round 2, because round 3 was not that, and round 4 was not that.
Cool.
Yep.
Here is Mastercraft. All right, so as you can see, a much closer, much more dynamic round we had over here. I am still. Oh, let me see if I can do that. That looks a little bit better. I am still first defending, and this time around I am attacked by Sisters and Biosanctic GSC. This was an interesting choice because I think that on paper I should run through the Biosanctic, but I had practiced a Sisters match recently, so I felt like I had some more knowledge into that, and like Biosanctic has the right OC to put in the places where things get kind of sketchy, so I just took what I knew, and on layout 2 it was going to be fine. I'll take a second here to talk about why this layout is a freaking war crime. On basically every layout that we played on layout 2, there is nowhere on either expansion to stand hidden, like at all. It's just fully out in the open. So the only place you can really stage near the far expansion is obviously in the little crook, just outside of your deployment zone, which is such a super safe position, really hard corner to turn, unless you have a storm surge. So you just touch the piece and are towering and just see into it. Basically every single round, I literally took this board 6 rounds out of 6, deployed my storm surge essentially on the line, made a beeline for that objective, touched that piece of terrain, and could see basically everything. We parked the entire Riptide Castle on that objective as well, and just point the ultimate beam downrange and see all 3 center objectives, rinse and repeat while making plays for the opponent's home field. Like, it was really silly. And this particular round was no real exception to that rule. This was not it wasn't on on Crucible though. This was Hammer and Anvil Hidden, if I'm not mistaken.
For round two?
For round 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Which made things a lot more complicated because obviously the objectives are not in such pleasant positions, but I still took up that same position, stared down on his L, and just blasted stuff. I made a pretty big blunder in not realizing just how light layout 2 was, where I had an opportunity to clear a second squad of sacks, but left 2 or 3 alive from 2 different squads instead of clearing one of them. I didn't realize that my Storm Surge could just fully see the other one. Anyway, so he managed to claw his way back into that pretty quickly, but we took the table and held the table from the beginning. The primary was just like off the charts. I think my primary was 15, 15, 15, 5, like just really bad stuff. So only able to walk out with a 14, but just kind of a really dominant situation. If you're struggling with this matchup as a Tau player, you're probably not playing a Storm Surge. He really changes the dynamic into Sacrosants and can actually put a serious hurting on them. Or you're not playing the Flamer suits. Play the Flamer suits. They're incredible. What can I say? So really fun game there. My opponent did a really good job scrapping back from what seemed like a really bad situation. So big props to him on that. But overall, not the definitely not the craziest game of the weekend again for me. Even if it was one where I definitely lost a lot of material. Up second there on their first attacker of Custodes, Max is the one doing the attacking on WTC 1. This looks kind of rough. Max, how'd it go?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had not gotten a rep into Custodes before this. That's definitely one of my biggest weaknesses as a teammate and team player is I don't like TTS. So I just don't really TTS much, which has left some holes in matchups, which will definitely you'll see that down the line even more so. But I played into Phil, their Custodes player. He was a really, really awesome dude, really great player, very familiar with his list, and their tools. Whereas I was like, okay, well, I think this is what they'll end up doing, but I ended up playing into Talons, or not Talons. I was more familiar with Lions and Talons, and Talons has the good reactive moves, defense against mortals, and he was just able to leverage all of my mistakes and unfamiliarity with the matchup, and really just end up kind of running circles around me with the reactives on the triple land raiders. So I mean, really, really awesome player, great game, but not close for the guard, which was unfortunate.
Nice. Yeah, that seems painful. Those raiders, I like with how hard I found it for guard players to kill a single Storm Surge. 3 land raiders seems somewhat untenable. Like that's I can see how that could be a real problem for you.
Yeah, Dorns don't be shooting that T12 very well at all.
Yeah. Makes sense. Good stuff. All right. And then Mr. Siebert, once again, second defending, once again, accepting Death Guard, and once again, putting his hole through their front, their back, and the wall behind them. How'd this game go, man?
Yeah, I played Mason. He's out of Utah. I had a great time with him. He had a little bit more trash in his list was the big difference. Not as much shooting and no Land Raider. The first guy had a Land Raider. I think I went first again. I staged really aggressively. He came out. He set up a pretty good screen. I cleared it. And then when Gaz went to go, he rolled a 4 on his advance. So he went a good distance. And then I rolled boxcars on his charge. And Gaz just teleported into his deployment zone, touched his termies that he just deep striked in. And so we basically fought. He marched through my army for the next 2 turns. But by then I racked up so many points. But super fun game. We had some really good dialogue moments. We're like, okay, if you do this, because there's some really intricate movements when you're moving 20 model units and trying to do charges and making sure you're going to the closest thing. So hats off to him. It was a really fun game.
Very, very nice. On the other side of things, their second defend here was a longtime friend of the show, Matthew Evans, with his Crusher Stampede Nids, which was quite a different take on Nids than we've been seeing a lot over here. Trent, what was that list like, and how did that game go?
He had a really interesting list because it was built around a fixed secondary plan of cleanse and engage, where his Biovore is going to be doing engage, or at least patching up to get 3 to 4 quarters every time, and then cleansing with Neurolictors most of the time, it seemed like, at least in our game, which on hidden supplies is pretty easy for him. Thankfully, I went first. I was able to block a Norn off an objective, hurt one before it got onto an objective, and then, long story short, by the end of turn 3, his saves had dried up, and he was Nornless and down at least one of his Maleceptors. And so he kind of just ceased to score at that point because his list is really built around being able to stand on points with Maleceptors and Norns and just kind of push his monsters into the meat grinder while he's passively scoring primary and secondaries, right? To ideally either small win or draw, I would assume. And my list was just a little too lethal, and I think he didn't understand the WTC board. There's a focal point on that board where I can see basically 3 of the 4 middle objectives, and so it was really just ideal for a gunline. So that's kind of the summary.
I'm curious. Do you shoot your PBCs at his trash first in this matchup, or do you shoot Norns while they don't have a feel no pain?
I absolutely just use them to confirm kills on Norns at this juncture. Eventually, I turned to the Biovore, but it was more important that I was killing the things that he was able to stand on objectives with as quickly as possible and get to the Neurolictors to stop him from, getting secondary so I could push diff. So,
I guess the loss condition is he gets onto the objectives, then passes the saves, and then you're fucked. So
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Cool.
This is where the 30 Poxwalkers really paid out with all the infiltrate and the ability just to kind of run into his way. So it was great.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
he is definitely lacking in pieces to deal with that. Very nice. Sweet. Big win for Mr. Trent there. Our scrum defender this time, the man in the cuck chair, is Alexander Pena, who accepts Wrath of the Rock Dark Angels, which he says is neutral, and the scorecard says otherwise. How was that game, man?
Yeah, there's a big question mark there. His list specifically didn't have any guns, which was awesome. And this was hidden supplies. So my plague bearers actually just were in front of my birds. And he kind of began playing a somewhat passive game. He put like 2 units of death of his knights in deep strike. So I had a lot of board kind of control. I stickied like 2 or 3 objectives, and I said, this is a problem. You must come solve it. I was also able to indirect like most of his ICC brick and most of his trash just to really make him come out with his big knights, big knight squads. He like kind of consigned the lion to his far natural objective, and I said, that's totally cool. I will trade you not having that guy for you getting those points. Because that guy with flux tokens would have been a fucking nightmare for me to deal with. But thankfully, that didn't happen. And then Deathwing Knights actually die pretty easily to ignore cover birds because it still takes 2 to get through to 1. Every time I activated 1, I would just kill most of the squad, and then it didn't matter. And then I don't think I lost any birds. I think I just, he kind of didn't have a turn where he could all in because of the Plague Bearer squad. So it was good. Jason was a big chiller, and he played Sint later on in the tournament and did a lot better with him, which is awesome. After we played, I was like, maybe you shove the lion at me and I can't do anything about it. And I think that's what he did. So
very nice. Mr. Lucas here, finally feeling confident attacking guard now that all the garbage boards are out of the way. Playing them on GW1. How did this shake out, man?
Well, I hate to break it to you. That board was also garbage. Yeah, I did underestimate how much of the objectives on hidden supplies were going to be out in the open on GW1, and B, how easy it was for him to contest my load op and like my scouts that are in the corner tucked in on an objective. He can just put enough trash on that I can't really hold any primary. And with me going first, that really limited the amount of points I was able to score. There was an unfortunate situation on turn. It was top of 3 when I was going in super hard, where I didn't consider a heroic, and so a squad of Bulgrin escaped the wrath of Dante by heroicing in and getting out of charge range, which was a bummer. I think this matchup, I think I probably get my 12 that I predicted if I just don't make that blunder. But as it was, like this is a pretty standoffish game at worst, and this is something that I really found with a fast, aggressive army like Blood Angels. Even if you're on your opponent's board choice, they can't really push onto the objective as long as you have enough trading, right? Like you have the 3x5 JPI, you have the extra squad of 3 Sangers that are unled. You can go clear their first wave of trash and be like, okay, whatever's next is getting either ignored or gravity hammered by like a massive brick unit. And so he couldn't really push into me. I couldn't really push into him. Eventually we threw all our models at each other, but that was like on turn 4 and the game had already more or less run its course. So yeah, was an interesting enough game. It was fun getting to watch a squad of Sanguinary Guard rip 3 tanks in half.
Very cool. Mr. Fromm is again our forgotten, and he falls into Renegade Raiders, not Real Space Raiders. I finally got it right. CSM on GW7 pulls out a 13. No amount of guns kills Catan. Sorry. Better luck next time. And Mr. Swallow ends up being refused into the Biosanctic GSC. They finally came back from that first attacking slot. How did this game go, man? This seemed like an interesting one.
Yeah, I have it marked as a yellow. I knew it was like a slightly losing matchup, but I thought it would be okay to play into it. Mostly because reactive moves back into transport usually is a really huge headache for short range armies like GSC. And more or less that's how the matchup looked like it was going to go until the indirect started picking up all of my trash pieces, and he didn't really even have to interact with me. He could just choose not to do anything, and all right, indirect is just going to pick up your 5 dominions over here. It's going to pick up the 5 dominions over there, the rets over there, and eventually I just ran out of tools to play the game. And yeah, I mean, I was tabled. I think I only got tabled at top 5. But I mean, that all the way up until that point, I'm like just trying to scrounge together all the points I can, and I'm not really being interacted with when he's kind of picking and choosing the fights that he wants to take, because I don't have the movement speed to do anything about it. So that's how that game went. It was an unfun game, not because my opponent was an unfun opponent. My opponent was lovely. I played against Will, great dude. Would play a game against him any time of the week. But the army itself, the matchup was pretty abysmally unfun to play against.
Yeah, that is one of the things about GSC, man. You're like, okay, I've got the OC to fight him. They don't table my profiles. The Biosanct, I'm okay receiving a charge. You run down the checklist of what makes it even remotely playable, and then it's like, oh, it also is like 35 indirect shots per turn. Smile.
Yeah, strength 6 indirect when I'm an army.
Why is it strength 6, dude? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not great.
Army shoots really hard indirectly.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Nice. Well, I imagine the hidden supplies of it all was also pretty garbage for you. I imagine on a different mission, this is a little bit more drawable.
Yeah, I think also if I go first, it would have been a little bit better, because then I can kind of establish, the center of the board is kind of my space and score points while I'm there, and he has to come to me to, and then I can actually use my pieces. But going second, where he gets to establish himself on the center on hidden supplies, and now I have to like kind of bumble my way over with movement 7, and I don't want to have to commit 10 sacrosands for 5 gene stealer, pure strain gene stealer. So it's like, all right, I guess it's just an awkward dance of like I'm trying to find value with these units that are getting really bad value.
Makes sense. Cool. Good stuff. Well, thanks for following that grenade for us. Someone had to do it. And the team walks away as a result, victorious 96-64. Super solid win. Feeling excellent after day 1, getting roaring and ready for day 2, where things are going to get a lot more interesting.
Yes,
day 2, round 1. Is that MHM? Are these in order? I think these
Heroic Knights Blue.
It's Heroic Knights Blue.
Heroic Knights Blue. All right. Never mind. Not in order. Heroic Knights Blue. These were definitely one of the stronger contenders of the weekend. I think someone did the math. They had like the best strength of schedule. They played like all the great teams, and they were definitely not here to play around. So very exciting one there. I guess I should do a quick Bruise of the Matrix. There was nothing. Yeah, this was fine. Okay. Once again, I first defended and took table 2. I missed getting some of the rejected attackers here. My bad. But I accepted the world leaders. This is a very dangerous game to accept to play, because world leaders, and in particular, Hellbrutes. He had 2 of them. And looming large over this particular pairing was the shadow of the last time that we had a Mont Cop player accept world leaders on this team, where Tanner got completely ping-ponged by a Hellbrute top 1 and lost the game instantly. So the goal was to not do that.
Well, good thing this isn't on Search and Destroy, right?
It was definitely on Search and Destroy.
Smile.
Yeah, what was the mission here? This was Search and Destroy. Other first attacker was Sisters. Sure, I believe you.
This is Taken Hold.
Guy. Taken Hold. Cool. Yeah, I would have been very down to play the Sisters again, but our entire team, looking at our world leaders column, our world leaders column was great. I just wanted to hurt somebody. That's crazy.
Okay, to be fair, what their sister's player Krakauer had
this is Krakauer's team.
Two Tau players in a row.
Yes, I forgot about this. 100%. Yeah.
I remember you pulled me aside and you're like, all right, how does the castigators change the matchup at all? And I'm like, yes, they do. They can shoot the Riptides.
Having thought about this a bunch, I've come all the way back around. I think it's probably fine.
Yeah.
I really wanted to play that to hopefully smash that guy and put my balls on his face. But the possibility of getting totally ruined. Oh man, I had to put my ego aside. Well, I'll play him later, and we'll see if I was totally going to get egg in my face instead. So I took the World Leaders matchup instead, which was very dangerous. It went really, really well. Layout 2 is still a war crime. God, it's so bad for him. So that was what we did. The highlight moment of this game, though, in addition to obviously it's a fundamentally favored matchup, there are two things that happened that were beautiful. One of them was that his Karn squad gets out of its Rhino. His Rhino survives a guided broadside with the Seeker missile and a Piranha and like something cross court. I don't remember, maybe a Ghost Keel on one wound, so I had to shoot a Riptide into it instead of getting to shoot the Riptide at Karn's squad. It was very annoying, but whatever. We kill the Rhino. The guys get out. They hit a big 6 advance and blitz all the way across the table and go charge a Riptide. And I'm like, okay, that's scary. And they rip that Riptide just right in half. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of scary. Anyway, my Storm Surge, who is not moving, can see you. Storm Surge, and my Storm Surge with one activation, top to bottom, the entire squad and Karn the first time.
Sick.
Bam. So that felt real good. And it was very silly because I'd spent a ton of time being really cautious about the Blood Surge, making sure that star sides were positioned where the only thing that they could Blood Surge into, no matter who he killed, no matter what was pulled, was the star sides. Kill them all. The star sides shoot Karn. It doesn't matter because stars don't get to shoot Karn because he's dead. So Karn gets back up. The star slides go in, charge Karn, tank shock him, do 2 mortals to him, get him back down to 1.
No.
Karn swings, kills a crisis suit. Okay. Fair enough. Flip over to his turn. Obviously, Karn's not going to fall back because nothing comes of that. He fails his battle shock though, so he's stuck in combat. I get to swing first. My 2 crisis suits beat Karn to death, and he can't CP reroll the 1.
Incredible.
On his turn.
Wild.
Let's fucking go, Crisis Suits. That being said, that was not the craziest thing that happened that game. The craziest thing that happened that game was that after I swamped his expansion, once mine was like mega secured, he had his second Hellbrute ingressed in to go ping pong, and I was like, well, there's nothing to be done about this situation. Like it was, a Hellbrute's going to get to do a Hellbrute thing at some point this game. He held him back long enough, and I have enough of the table. It doesn't matter, but it's going to suck. And his Hellbrute goes in. There's a squad of star sides and a Piranha and a Riptide and a squad of Crude Hounds. And I'm like, this is all dead. I'm going to lose 3 units and maybe a Riptide to this Hellbrute. It's going to suck. Whatever. He goes in first into the Crisis Suits. Bonk. Obliterates 2 of them. And then consoles into the 3rd one and also the Piranha. And I'm like, all right, well, we know how this goes. The Piranha swings at him because he has to, and he's like, all right, hit you again. Whips out his hammer with his 8 freaking attacks. But he's using the hammer, and the hammer hits on 4s, and he rolls 4 3s to hit and a 2. So he gets 3 hits, and he rolls 2 1s to wound. So he only wounds once. No, he wounds twice. I fail both my saves, and he rolls his damage, and he rolls on his It's D6 plus 2 damage weapon. Snake Eyes. So he does 6 damage to my 7 wound Piranha, and my Piranha is fine.
Interesting.
Cool.
My Crisis, he is incensed. My single Crisis suit then has to punches him back, and he swings into the Crisis suit and does 2 saves at AP3, and the Crisis suit rolls boxcars and takes 0 damage. I kid you not, this dude went over and laid down on the floor face down for a few minutes.
Hellbrute moment.
Oh man, obviously, I think I was still in a pretty commanding position of the game regardless, but that definitely swung a couple of diff in my direction. We ended with an 18-2 there. I feel bad for him over those dice because he did not need that to happen. But yeah, the solution, Tanner, was just to skill diff. I guess that's how you fix all brutes. Just skill diff. Anyway. Moving on, their first attacker was as their death guard, into which Pina once again first attack. Pina's first attacking a lot here because his matrix is dog, but they keep accepting him, so I love it. How'd this game go, Mr. Pina?
Wasn't that bad. This game was good. I think I was on layout. What was I on? Yeah, I was on a pretty open board, and he put his Rhino full of Plague Marines and Strat Reserve. He actually had played Demons, so he knew it was up. So I had a pretty good amount of board kind of availability. I kept puppeteering things off of his natural, which made it hard for him to score primary. He couldn't really attack mine because there were like 4 birds on it. He waits until like turn 3 or 4 to put Morty in the middle, which I think is a mistake. I think you just like say, hey, I'm T12 with the fuck huge amount of wounds and feel no pain. And also here's my little son, the Demon Prince. You can't kill both of us. So what happened was he had to basically hard commit to his natural with the Death Shroud and the Plague Marines, which I was more than happy with. I do end up killing the Demon Prince in 1 round of shooting and Morty as well. And then Morty Explode kills Be'lakor, Bella Fraud. He couldn't even kill a fucking Roomba. But other than that, I had basically kept getting 10s and he kept getting 5s. And the game was over after that. He couldn't really come back. He had bottom turn, but he really only had like the Plague Marine unit and a Rhino at the end because his Death Shroud unit had to hold his natural, which again, I'm more than happy for my opponents to give their giant, melee pressure units just on their points, which is a strength of Sint. Is like Trent said earlier, this is a really aggressively greedy comp, like meta right now. So if you can kind of indirect the trash, make them have to decide if they want to score points or kill my birds. Yeah, I'm more than happy to play that game.
Nice. I definitely have found that to be my experience, what you're saying with Morty there with Scintillating Legion, where they seem like they have infinite damage, and then you throw something actually durable at them, T11, T12, 2-up save, and like, man, that damage falls off fast. So good learning for Death Guard players if you're playing Morty into Sint. Just gunch. Just do it. Mm-hmm. Mr. Lucas this time around is second defending, trying to pull something out, and he does pull out those Sisters. As we said, that Sisters guy is one of their strongest players. He's had an incredible performance before this, so we were very excited to get a high caliber player in Lucas into him. Don't even remember what else they attacked with. It was, Lucas has taken that, and he took him to town. 13 big-time points from a big-time player. How'd it go, Mr. Lucas?
Yeah, this was a really fun game. I've yet to play Krakauer and was really impressed by his skill. This was probably this wasn't the game I enjoyed most over the weekend, but it was the one I was most proud of. Actually getting to deliver instead of underperform, which was the story for me for most of the rest of the weekend. This felt really good. I'm not really a patient Warhammer player. I like fighting with my opponent. It's why I play armies like World Leaders and Orcs and EC and stuff like that. And Blood Angels I thought was going to be a lot of the same. And I really pumped the brakes on this game and let him come to me, which was definitely the right move because he got all strung out. It let me pick him apart and isolate him and really use the one advantage I have in this matchup, which is my speed. Krakauer's build has 3 Castigators in it, like Tyler alluded to when we were talking about pairings. And, Ian has been playing a lot of Sisters recently. We played this matchup several times to get me repped for WCW, or I think it was maybe only twice. But I have not played it in the Castigator version, and they're very, very scary for me because the first Castigator shoots me moderately hard, and then the second one rips me in half. So it's like any 2 of his tanks watching a lane can just wipe an entire unit of mine, except for maybe the Lamartes unit, because that unit is fucking silly. But yeah, I was really just like, I played really slowly. I built up my CP. I threatened rapid ingresses. I used my JPI to deny his primary because he was going first. And then eventually I just hit a critical mass of like, okay, we both removed each other's trash. You have to put your important units on the objectives. I healed all 30 Sacrosants in 1 turn and then was just standing there body blocking the objectives with actual Blood Angel units and being like, shoot me off the objective. I will stick you on death. You will not make your way onto the objective. If you charge me with Vol, I'll fight on death with my death company. If you shoot me to death, I'll sticky it and you won't stand on it. And that was a turn where he got just 5 for his home field. And, this was like turn 4. So he was all the way in his deployment zone, scoring a 5, not on the objectives. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take my small win and move on with my life. So yeah, was really proud of how I played this game. It was a lot of fun. Goddamn. I've not played against Cascaders in a while. Those bastards shoot so hard. Even into 2-up armor saves with AOC, they pass the enough saves that it's very, very painful. Especially with fallback and shoot and Champions of Faith. That data shoot's really, really good. So yeah, it was a really fun game against Krakauer, and was the highlight of the weekend for me in terms of performance.
Hell yeah, man. 30 sacks in a turn.
It was crazy.
I mean, that certainly is at least a tie for the record, because that's the most you can kill.
I'll be honest. He was a little upset. He spaghetti that I killed all of them, and I'm like, he was like, "You're rolling really hot, dude." And I'm like, "Well, I did pass you like the average number of saves, and the average number of saves does kill like 16 Sacrosants. So smile, smile,
dude. RCO math is crazy, man.
It's crazy.
Damage out of those units when they connect is 11.5.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right.
35 saves at AP3, damage 2. I have yet to swing the captain. Oh.
Hell yeah. All right. Their second offender was the Chaos Knights. They held them back, didn't go early with them. And this was a pairing that we attacked Mr. Trent into, and they gladly accepted. And it turned out we were the glad ones there, as this did not go super hot for the CK. Tell me about this game, Trent.
Yeah, so I ended up playing Justin, who was their coach, subbing in for one of their sick players. CK is a fairly simple army, so I think he at least was lucky with the army that he ended up having to play for the weekend. He had done pretty well in the rounds leading up to this, but I think there were some CK learning lessons that he hadn't quite gotten to yet, which is what happens when I fail a lot of these battle shocks or leadership checks and start taking mortals for free on all my stuff. I was able to basically collapse my natural objectives, flank for him immediately through his own mortals to himself and Plague Burst Crawlers. And then at that point, he felt forced, based on secondary draws, to expose one of his large knights early, which I was able to basically just point every gun in my army at and remove. And the game just kind of cascades from there. He can screen decently by holding his home and his natural for a bit, but at some point he runs out of trash quickly and has to put war dogs on his natural. And I'm pretty efficient when I get every gun in my army to shoot war dogs. So he just kind of loses control of the board rapidly, and I'm just able to basically max score the whole game while pretty effectively controlling his. So he's a really gentleman player. Felt bad that he had to sub in for his team. Sounds like he really intended to just coach for the weekend. But he's a quality opponent, and it was a fun game.
Very funny that we got the last minute subs into each other, albeit subs of a slightly different variety. Nice job on that one, Trent. And big shout out to that coach for stepping up in his team's time of need. That is never a fun thing to have to strap in for and be a lot more responsible for than you were planning on, especially without the prep. So props to him for that. On the back half of this, things got a little bit sketchier, starting off with Mr. Swallow here, who is in the cuck chair this time around, who's attacked with Company of Hunters and Warhorde Orcs, takes the Company of Hunters on his table pick on WTC 6 at my advice, which apparently was maybe not great advice. How'd that go, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, I had this matrix as a green. Generally speaking, so this is Company of Hunters, right? So there's just a bunch of bikes. It's really, really fast. The alpha is very real. And so yeah, that's kind of the idea of the list. In my head, I'm like, okay, well, it's very fast, but it generally doesn't like having Meltas pointed at it, and I have a lot of Meltas in my list. So on some level, I stand by the green that I had, but on Search and Destroy in particular, going first, that alpha is pretty devastating, and of course, I didn't go first. So yeah, I think I played against Sean. If that's not the right name, I apologize, but I think that was my opponent's name.
Who was Sean?
Yep, there we go. I'm just him. And so, yeah, he took the opportunity. He just bikes down my throat over and over and over again. On top 1, he blew up 2 immolators and killed, I think, everything inside except for 1 girl, which is, oh my, what the heck? Did not expect that much damage coming out of like 1 bike squad and like a hammer strike. but yeah, the tempo of the game was all like at the very beginning. You know, I think he spent like 35 minutes on his first movement phase, and then I spent a huge amount of time back trying to answer this. We both ran into time trouble, and I think by the end of 3, we were both pretty much out of time. So would have loved to play him again. Finish the game the proper way. That'll have to happen at some point in the future. But I did scrape by somehow, some way with an 8 here. I probably should have scored a little less, given the fact that I was more or less, I wouldn't say completely tabled, but I definitely was losing the value trades over the course of the game. Yeah, it was a hard game. He was very fast, search and destroy, WTC, not great. Not much more to say about it.
Nicely done, man. Good effort there. Ian, as y'all will notice, was very often shoved into the thing that no one else has played against or knows what to do with, and came back with points every single time, which we really appreciate. Someone's got to do it, and that was our boy. We had some less savory ways of describing it during the event, but at the end of the day, service with a smile. We really appreciate your service there, Mr. Swallow.
Yeah.
All right. Up next for them, their Hearth band, Votan, are defending, and this is the first of Max's many adventures with Votan, which I know are his new favorite opponent. And this time he's got a Matrix as green. Next time it probably won't be. How'd this game go, Max?
Well, it didn't go as I predicted. As you can see, it ended up being an orange when I predicted a green. I think in the future I'd probably downgrade this to yellow, potentially with upside, depending on anything on the list. So I played against, let me just double check real quick, because I played Votan back to back. Yes, Chris. I got to play against Chris. Super awesome dude who brought double land fort, triple grab thunder, like 3-man grab Thunderkin. And I said, well, I've played into this before, and I've gotten shot by it. Yeah, I'll go put a Dorn out. It should live. And I don't actually know if that's math or not. That's math. That's max math, though. I'll tell you that right now. It died to the wound, essentially. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm a Dorn down, and he's 2 land forts up. We're in a bit of trouble. The tempo swing really was unfortunate from there of just, these 2 land forts can now pretty much push together as a unit and say, okay, well, your 1 Dorn can come out and kill 1, and then the Thunderkin and this other land fort are going to kill the other. So I was like, oops. Just kind of underestimating the amount of damage that the 9 Thunderkin can put out. Because the forts are good, but the invuln that I throw on the Dorn with the Engine Seer goes a long way into that. But the amount of Thunderkin shots just going in like, it's flat 3, flat 3, flat 3. I failed probably, I think, 4 or 5 of them from being shot over the course of the 3 units. And that's like 12, 15 damage even through the blank. And I was just like, uh-oh, I think I might be in trouble here. So it was again just a oops, kind of underestimated my opponent's damage. And it won't happen again, which see in the next slide. Yeah. Chris was a great opponent, knew his stuff, and was just fun to play against.
Nice. We move down then to our Forgotten Boys, which this time is Mr. Siebert, reprising his former role as Bluntmaster 9000. The Rock will not be broken, playing into Imperial Guard for the 10th 10 there ever 10. How'd this game go, Siebes?
It was good. It was a fun game. This is probably one of my highlight games of the weekend. This one in our one into Florida. But I played Caleb, who as soon as we got paired, Fromm pulled me aside. He's like, this guy's pretty good. Respect him. I'm like, great, awesome. And I remember when I was matrixing this, the order operation for me going into Grizzled Company is how many Bulgrin do they have? Because those things kill orcs very effectively with all their orders now. And he had 2 bricks. And I was like, oh, and 2 Dorns. I was like, okay, definitely I'm feeling a yellow. And to rewind just a little bit, when I was building the list, kind of the last unit that was flexing was either a 3rd squad of Flashkits in a truck or Zodgrod's unit with all of his very annoying grots. And this is the game where Zodgrod showed up. He ran on the Watern. I think I went first. Yep. He ran to the expansion objective, wrapped both Chimeras, and just locked them in there for 2 turns. And then allowed another truck of Flashkits to drive up and then run out to touch the Dorn. So I just locked 1 Dorn in the corner pretty much the whole game. And then Gads went and bad touched the other Dorn while engaging both Bulgrin squads at once. So it was a scrap. I felt like I could have squeezed a couple diff out of it coming out of the game, but hats off to Caleb. He made so many good micro decisions that turned into points for him. So great game. We hugged it out afterwards, but looking forward to playing him again.
Yeah, I am a Zodgrod despiser at this point with the Gaskell in the list, but like Guard is the one matchup where I'm like, yeah, having the unit that moves giga fast that is super good at tagging is pretty good against the no fallback and do anything army.
Yeah, he was incredible. Like MVP hands down that game.
Hell yeah, that's good to hear. Nice.
Very cool. And last but not least, our Necrons, Mr. Fromulus, go into Warhorde Orcs, which was very sketchy for us, as that orc list was very clearly designed with killing Catan in mind, among other things. From doesn't care. From doesn't care what he's playing against. He gets a reasonable score. He gets a 9. Good job, From. Definitely not the... From, as a little bit of backstory, because a lot of people are going to see these results on 5 Catan and think, A, maybe 5 Catan isn't that good, or B, maybe From isn't that good. Neither of those are true. The From got put on this list with 0 reps on it. He was really feeling the Star Shatter thing, and then on the day of list lock, like the dam broke, and he was like, nah, you guys are right. We should play 5 Catan. Got a handful of reps with it and rolled with it. Evidently, it required a little bit more practice than he had on the front end.
It was less than a day of practice because we were doing the scrimmage day up in Vancouver, and From had just played 2 games. I forget what he did. I think he bodied someone in his first game, but in the second game he got 20'd by Nick's Pantheon of Woe 5 Catan, and we went back here to the house to hang out for a little bit, and he's like, oh my god, I'm spiraling, maybe I just play 5 Catan. You got him on the phone, you're like, yeah, do it. You just have a little voice in the back of his head like, yeah, switch to 5 Catan. So yeah, that list is really strong, but even though it is brain dead press W, it is an army with 8 units, right? Like you need to be able to min-max all of the pieces to score a lot of points with an 8-unit army. And From as skilled of a player as he is, can't really pick that up on his 3rd game with the army, basically, right? So, honestly, putting a 9 on this guy was great because the round before, this guy, Zach Starcher, who's a great orc player from up in Washington, played against, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Sorry if that was incorrect. But he played against Naj and tenned him, which is a fantastic result, right?
If you can 10 the guy with 50 reps on 5 Catan and our guy with 3 reps can get a 9, 2 thumbs up. Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay. Sweet. So the round ends up 98-62. So we are falling back down toward reality in some much tougher rounds here. But once again, the line is holding strong. Pairings, I think, so far have been pretty bananas. But also our comp is just really, really excellent at the end of the day. I really like the armies that we have. They line up really well into the meta, and we've been kicking a bunch of tail. So props to everyone there. Halfway through the event, and we are far and away in first place, with I think only 1 or 2 other undefeated teams at the moment, going on into our final round of day 2 into MHM, which was this over here. This matrix was interesting. Couple of things to be careful about. And here's where we ended up. On pairings, this is like good, undoubtedly good. And I have seen rounds paired like this go terribly wrong many, many times. This is a really easy pairing to have a bunch of things slip on. So we really needed the line to be held and in a couple places to be pushed. And one man in particular heard that call and pushed a little bit. So props to him. Starting off at the top here, once again, I'm first defending on GW2 because this is a skill-based army, and I am the one doing pairings. I'm attacked with Mike Pestilence, Incursion Demons, and the elves that I end up taking, played by Joel Davis, playing Guardian Battle Host, which I have not played into yet. This was mostly a let me try to take the unknown before a bunch of my other guys is due kind of situation. Also, in general, I've played Seer Council with the Tau before. I talked about it recently. I lost to that, but it was a very winnable game. I feel like I have the right tools for it. I understand the pieces. I have the profiles. It should be okay. We'll see how good of a player he is and what happens, but we'll go with that. Whereas Pestilence is going to be, it sure is going to be, he's one of us is going to roll more 4s than the other one, and that person's probably going to get a solid win. So I was happy to let Pestilence fall out to later and take on this Eldar. This was comfortably my sketchiest matchup of the weekend. and just like absolutely crazy to read on the tabletop. Guardian Battle Host, such a cool army. I don't know how good it is, but it's so cool. He's running 2 different Guardian blobs, 1 Storm, 1 Defender, that are just filled to the brim. They've got the Warlock Conclave attached, the Warlock attached. One has Eldrad, one has a Farseer. And then he's got another Storm Guardian brick that lives in his home field. He's running 2 squads of Shroud Runners, 3 Warwalkers, and then some trash pieces. Man, this list is sick. These Guardian units are bouncing around. They are doing incredible amounts of damage. He goes first, which really sucked. This was one of the ones where I was like, man, if I had gone first, you were getting like 20'd. I remember like 16, but like this was going to be really bad for him. Partially because no matter how many times I reminded him the Storm Surge had towering, I think he just didn't appreciate one of the lines that he could get to where he would be able to do a lot of damage. And also just like the Pathfinders and the Piranhas do just so much early pressure. But one way or the other, he ends up going first. Was super cool. He plays the perfect amount of aggressive, gets in, gets my Storm Surge tagged off an 8-inch charge from some bikes, which was a big deal. So his Scorpions are dancing around, keeping me from getting where I want to go. His Guardians are getting into cool places. And I'm like, bro, this is sketchy. This is so sketchy. I have so little faith in my ability to hang on to this. I'm going to do what I can here, but I don't really like this. I have very limited ability to interface with this. But I'm going to do what I can. So here's what I did when on the back foot. I tried to identify a couple things. Number 1, how does his damage work? Because that is the thing that this army is deceptively good at. Its damage is better than it seems like it should be. Let's figure out where it comes from. Okay, he's got these units that do a lot of shots at reasonable strength, but the problem with them is they're AP1. They don't ignore cover. His Shroud Runners are giving him ignores cover. His Warwalkers are giving him +1 AP. Maybe it's backwards, but those 2 things collectively give him the combo of now I can do damage to you. Okay, cool. How can I remove those things? Shroud Runner squad that was tagging the Storm Surge, that one's dead. Great. Other squad, don't have an easy way to kill it, can tag it with a Piranha. That suffices. He's got 3 Warwalkers. Cool. We're going to forget everything else. Shoot that one, shoot that one. That one's way out of town. We're fine. Okay. Now that that's taken care of, his damage is neutralized. He can no longer like blitz through me. Obviously, the damage will still hurt, but as long as my guys are 2-up saves, TE 8+ in cover, I'll be okay. I can weather the storm a little bit. Second question was where is his what are his tricks that I can nullify so I have as few things to worry about as possible? He blitzes his Solitaire and runs up. Oh, also this guy's the Avatar of Cain, by the way. Haven't mentioned that yet. He's got his Solitaire blitzing in to go tie up the Storm Surge for another turn. And the Avatar of Cain is running out with the intention to long bomb charge a Piranha and then pile in Console 6, stab the Piranha to death, and then Console into my Storm Surge. And I'm like, oh no, that's bad. But he's an Eldar player, which means he's a greedy little bastard, which means that he spent all 3 of his other tokens before in his own movement phase on +2 move, +2 move, +2 move, because that's what they do. They light those things on fire. And what that means is by the time he gets to the charge phase, he has 2 options. He can either use Pile Console 6 or he can use no Overwatch. So I ingress my Flamer Crisis Suits and jam him at his Solitaire, and I'm like, you want to do it? You want to do it? No, I didn't think so. Great. Problem neutralized. Moving on. He runs in, kills the Piranha, tags the Storm Surge with the big man. This is very scary. Final domino that had to fall to make this all happen. I really hate my Storm Surge being in combat with an Avatar of Cain. However, it is not the relevant question to be asking right now. I do not need a Storm Surge to win the game. I need a dead unit of Guardians to win the game. He has 2 units that do most of his damage, and because the Avatar of Cain killed the Piranha, I've got you killed Kenny up on it. We're going to work through him well enough. It'll be fine. I have to kill the Guardians. So I leave my Storm Surge in combat and await his untimely demise while blasting the hell out of a unit of Guardians. Pick the whole thing up in conjunction with some other helpers from some Starsides and a Riptide. Get it done. Cool. Moving on. Also, especially because that was my mark for death and assassinate. We're both in that unit. So we push all our chips to the center. In the meantime, every other gun is not shooting the other Guardian brick because I don't want that thing healing from full. Every other gun I have is going to the Avatar. At the end of my turn, the Avatar is on 1 wound, sitting in combat with my Storm Surge. I tragically had to spend my CP on +1 AP for the, not +1 AP for the Storm Surge. What did I spend? Because that would have been free. What did I spend it on? I tragically had to spend my CP on something else that was very important. Oh, I had to reroll a shot count on the Storm Surge because he rolled quad 1s for his missiles. And I'm like, 1 CP to reroll all 4 of those dice. Surely that is more valuable than the tank shock. I have to do it. So I reroll that, and that was part of the reason that I was able to actually kill the Guardian brick. So I don't have the CP to tank shock him down. I charge my Riptide in with You Killed Kenny. Bam, 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 bam. 6 attacks on 5s, rerolling, wounding on 5s. Bam, I hand him 2 saves, and he makes both his 2-ups. Doesn't matter. And he sure enough liquefies the Storm Surge. Good night, Storm Surge. You served well. But that's enough because now at this point I look up and I'm like, okay, he has a Guardian brick on a regular Guardian brick on his home field, a full Guardian brick that's in combat with my other Riptide, who are now shooting pistols in combat at him, but he's getting 2-ups of cover. It's going to be fine. Now we go murder, and I kill every other unit in his army. And on turn 4, he is a single Guardian weapons platform away from being tabled. Just shot absolutely everything, went as hard as I possibly could, and that one dude hangs on and then picks itself up back to full strength and appears behind my home field. And I'm like, no!
No.
That's, if one more wound gets through that one platform and I take it out, it's probably like a 16. But he pulls off back, picks up a handful of diff in the process, and he pulls out an 8 out of this game. But man, whew, terrifying.
Avatar of Kane be like, I've tagged your ballistic skill 4 Storm Surge. What are you hitting on? Storm Surge be like, 2s. That shit is so stupid.
The Storm Surge, to be clear, did not fire a single shot at him. Not a single shot.
Yeah, just shoot something else.
Gotta shoot the Guardians. They have to die. But everyone else also is like, you're in combat, I don't care. The reason being, as a reminder, the Avatar of Kane still halves damage. So my damage 12 shot drops to 6.
Molten form, dude. He just takes that slug and just turns it into his body.
Exactly. So we were not doing that. And then the annoying thing to me was that I didn't see the 6-inch PAL console play, because if he were out in the open, once I put You Killed Kenny on the Avatar, the Storm Surge picks him up in an activation with +1 AP and all the missiles and stuff, just off the lethals alone. It's incredible. But at that point, it was what it was. He got away. But yeah, we tabled this guy down to a unit. He was allowed to have his 1 unit left at the end. Was this this was the Scorched Earth one, right? This is Scorched Earth. Yeah, this is Scorched Earth Crucible. At the end of the game, I have a single Star Scythe burning his home field, and he has his Guardians taking my home field, but too late to burn because I got to go second. Oh, crazy game. Awesome game, Joel. We had a ton of fun. Super solid player, super interesting matchup. I think it's definitely Tau favored and could have gone a lot worse, and I've learned a lot out of this, and I think it would go better next time. But man, just a really, really awesome game to finish out day 2 for me. Just had a great time, and was glad that everyone else was also holding it together, because I was a little bit worried that I was going to need to push this harder. But the rest of the boys had my back. Starting Mr. Pena here, who went into the other crazy list that no one had reps into. How were Bastion Black Templars, brother?
Well, if you're a cool guy like me who loves Space Marines but find Gladius Task Force and Ultramarines in general a banal and boring army, this army is a great alternative. So you don't get oaths, but you kind of get oaths, because you can take an enhancement that gives the Auspex scan, which in Bastion is basically real hits of 1 if a battle line shot you, but then you get +1 to hit. So your Rep-X also already have full rerolls to hit, but now they're hitting on 2s, you know. It had a lot of really cool little things. He had a lieutenant with his Incursor squad and a Rep-X, so he could hop out, shoot something, give it +1 to hit, and then hop back in if he wanted to. He had like no hordes, no Crusader bricks, which you'd assume he would. It was just a couple 10-man of Assault Intercessors and a couple of 5-man of Assault Intercessors. It was a real barn burner because Repexes, as you've as we've talked about, T11, which is a bummer, 3-up save. So it takes actually a lot for me to shoot them. And I'm an 18-inch range, which means that I have to kind of commit to being hit in melee. He identified that if things were going to be on the table, they were going to die. So he put both of his bricks. He put his like Judiciary brick and the Grimaldus brick in the sky. So really, this is like round 3 for 3 where like uppy downing is really cool. I flip his home like twice. I put him to 5s like 2 times because he just like hard committed his whole army onto his natural. Like all 3 rep X's over there. He kept rapiding there to attack my home. I was basically tabled by the end of it because rep X's shoot birds really well. The cost of putting there was a line where maybe if like I am good at the game and I roll 4-ups, the lasers don't one-shot my birds. That wasn't the world we lived in. He ended the game with 4 units when he drew like he was down like 25 points. He drew like fucking engage on all fronts and something else. He scored enough to get a 10-10, which is really good for him. He played it, I think, correctly. He identified this was a losing matchup, so he's just going to hard commit to playing the end of the game. I couldn't push super hard, especially since it was scorched. I want to give a quick shout out to Tom, my opponent. If you need real estate done in Colorado, fucking find him. Collector Mania is a game store in Parker, Colorado. I kind of hung out with these guys at a GT in November, and they were like, that sounds like a great event. We should come up. Pestilence has a channel, Warhammer. But yeah, this was the lowest scoring game I had all weekend, and I think largely is because I couldn't push into rep X's, and he couldn't really aggressively push into me because then he just evaporates. So GG, well played, Mr. Tom.
Fair enough. Nicely done, and appreciate the shout-outs. Give some love to our boys down in Colorado. Mr. Siebert's up next. He is second defending, back in form, and this time he is the one playing the World Leaders with which melee mirrors generally something that orcs have a good time with. So I was very excited to get this pairing, and I was excited to hear how it went.
Yeah, I played Andrew with his World Leaders. No guns, no Force Fiends. He had Angron, two Berserker bricks with Rhinos, and then like a bunch of spawn. So I knew I had the trash advantage, and I got to go first as well. That's a theme of the weekend. I got to go first quite a bit, which orcs love. And there was we played on the WCW one with the big like Thunderdome in the middle with like the boxes here and here, and so it was really tight. And Angron had some weird angles getting in, and after I kind of staged, I ended up walling on turn 3 after like really aggressively staging, and then we like scrapped and he didn't commit. So I was like, okay, I'm going to inch up a little bit. So like now my charges are even more guaranteed. And he took like, he put the time to him, and he just took like 20 minutes, like walking around, assessing everything, like trying to figure out how hard he should push this. And then like, I think the captain was playing at the table right next to me against Lucas. And he was like, no, you push. And so he's like, all right. And he just like shoved his army at me. And it was such a weird interaction because of the crates that he sent 3 units in, but they could only touch like Zodgrod, who was ringing Gaz, and like my my commandos that were there, something like that, which were just chaff. And he couldn't get Angron in after all the weird pile-ins. And so Angron was just sitting in the middle of the board, and he didn't activate at all. And so Gaz swung around, uppercutted him, and then the rest of the unit went and destroyed the stuff on his natural. So it was a really cagey, like we were pre-measuring so much early on, and he had great communication. So yeah, good game with Andrew.
Hell yeah, man. Excellent stuff. That is the team's dynamic for sure. Got to understand what the right thing is to do at the right time and be ready to push whenever told. And unfortunately, it's perhaps he wasn't as ready as he thought he was. Very cool. Up next, back into the things that no one wants to play into. It's Mr. Ian playing into their Mont Katau, a list that is lacking a Storm Surge and is thus cringe, but otherwise seemed very solid with a very solid player behind it. How'd this game go, Ian?
Yeah, I played this game against John Kilcommons. Awesome name, by the way. Just want to shout that out. Also, this is Matrix right now as a yellow. I just want to set the record straight. I had a yellow minus on their board. I'm definitely not getting a tie, so I'm pretty happy with the 7 I got here. Instead of the Storm Surge, he has 2 units of Breachers, which also have really great math into Sacrosanct. So he's not missing out on too much in this matchup in particular, at least. Yeah, I had a really great game against him. It was a lot of fun. There was this was, I think, the first round where we both kind of walked up to the table and we kind of both knew exactly what was going on, which is like, yeah, I'm not going to win this game, but the diff is what we're playing for here. And so he felt that pressure of like, I need to, try and get as much diff as possible. And I had like the pillow of like, I just have to scrap together whatever I can get, and anything I can get, I'm happy with. So I think having less pressure on me certainly helped me that game. I think that there was definitely a few uncharacteristic mistakes that he found himself making. And there was a moment where we stopped the game a little bit, took a little bit of a breather, calmed down, came back to it, and John started playing some extremely good 40k. I don't think he made a single mistake after that break. And yeah, it was a hard-fought game, a really hard game for me to play. He bled a little bit of diff in the first few turns, but otherwise really tried to keep the clamps on me to prevent me from getting any of the points I could get. I think I did a pretty good job getting the 7. There was one die roll. I needed one more 2-up on my Calidus striking into some stealth suits to swap that to a 9, and then I would have been very, very happy with that. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. 1 into a CP roll into a 1. That's tough, man. Either way, I really loved this game. Honestly, despite it being a 7, I think it was one of my favorite games this weekend. John also went. I think he was one of the best performers at the weekend. He, I think, was 4th overall. He tied Tyler. Tyler was 3rd overall in the weekend, and I think they tied for battle points. So, John, great opponent. Great opponent both on like in terms of skill and also honestly, I enjoyed the vibes that we were having. We hugged it out after the game. Would love to get another game in with this guy at some point in the future. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite games this weekend. Happy with the 7. That was the game.
Was John the one you had that epic game against at Challengers?
No, it's funny.
Different
funny,
John.
Different
Oh,
John. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Yeah, Challengers with John Holbrook. And also epic game. Also, No, he was playing on Mastercraft at this time.
Oh, okay. My bad.
But yeah, that was both. Yeah, I guess the Johns of the world played really epic 40k. Yourself included, Mister.
Nice work, man. Really solid stuff there, and yeah, really solid performance by both Holbrook and Killcommons over the weekend. Really good stuff there. Up next, it is Trent's turn in the cuck chair, and he gets the unadulterated pleasure of playing into Mr. Mike Pestilence, the nicest man in Warhammer, with a bunch of fat demons. Trent so far has been eating whatever meat we put in front of him and spitting it out. This time, it seemed like he bit off just about as much as he could chew. How'd this game go, Trent?
Yeah, I got Mike. Mike's one of my favorite people in the world, and I was really excited to play him. I'm not exactly sure why I accepted him here, given the Votan, but I'm sure that was just it was probably just better for the team for me to take Incursion Demons. It'd been a while since I played Incursion Demons, and I found out that they do 6-inch deep strikes a little bit better than I do, which took my prospects for the game and brought me a little bit more down to earth, frankly. The only thing that I really had going for me here is that I knew the Plague Marine Brick could definitely kill the new and I guess diminished Gift Guo. And outside of that stat check, there weren't many particularly tough models remaining in his army that like focused gunfire would, have any issue bringing down. However, being able to leverage those under a Bellicor aura it's tough, and on Scorched Earth, where he doesn't really need to spread out in a meaningful way, made it even more difficult. And the other thing that I had not fully considered was that Rotigus is the only exception to the rule of reducing OC where he will make you a 0, and Poxwalkers are utterly and totally worthless when trying to contest a Rotigus held natural. So it was pretty clear to me after he had kind of made his big punch into me top of 2 that my only way to get any diff out of this game was that I basically just had to punch back as hard as I could. And so I sent the Plague Marines into the Gift Guo and cleaned up the middle and barely dragged that thing down. And I killed the bird quite handily. Chickens are just not very tough to Death Guard shooting. And then on his crackback, he was in a little bit of an awkward state where large chariot bases, the Slanesh chariots, by the way, I was familiar with their data sheets prior to the nerfing of Legion of Excess, and they have gotten quite the glow up. I wouldn't call them OP in any way, but the chariots themselves have like an extra attack profile, and there's a real reason to join the character to the various units. They get meaningful buffs, they attack a ton, and their gun is quite annoying. However, their bases are large, and Bellacor's base is large, and the Thunderdome on WTC does not have a big entrance, and my Plague Marines are standing right in that entrance. And so Be'lakor needs to bang a 7-inch charge to get over the top of me to clear the way for the chariots to also charge the Plague Marines. And unfortunately, Mike hits his downswing of the game and does not clear the 7. And so Be'lakor just gets in the way of the chariots and has to do all the work into the Plague Marines himself, which ultimately ends up for me very good, because when Be'lakor kills my Plague Marines in the middle, he splits the characters apart, and my Biologist Putrefier is a 7 OC model at this point. They later in the game kind of run back into the Rhino, which goes and burns as natural. Said Rhino also manages to somehow tank shock a 6-wound Rotigus to death, doing 6 mortal wounds with 0 feel no pain in response for an extra diff at the end, just to add insult to injury. But Mike played one hell of a game. He reminded me some of the things that Incursion Demons do, and yeah, they do 6-inch deep strikes better than I do. Quite scary. So it was quite a fun game, probably one of my favorites of the weekend, for sure.
Hell yeah, man. Glad that worked out. I'm sorry, did I hear you right there that a Rhino did 6 mortal wounds on a singular tank shock through a feel no pain?
Yep. Well, my Rhino is built different, and Rotigus stood no chance. And Mike would agree that it was well deserved, and that diff point was mine, I'm sure.
Hell yeah, man. Great work, dude. That was awesome. I am glad, for the sake of Mike's sanity, that diff point did not make a big difference in the round, because Jesus Christ. All right, cool. Moving on down the line, we'll come back to From, who's not here in a second. Our forgottens today are Lucas falling out into the Fellhammer CSM, one of the least known and understood lists. How is this wall of meat, dude? Go grind it, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty goofy. I won't lie to you. I was looking at this. I think we all turned to each other after this pairing happened at the table, and I was like salivating and whooping and shrieking like a banshee, because I thought this was going to be really, really good for me. I thought this was going to be like 15, 16 plus.
This was your best on Matrix. This was your best matchup for the round. We were very excited.
It was green sub blue. I thought that the CSM detachment with no melee defense would have melted to my army. That does insane melee damage. The thing that I didn't factor in was a very key strat, the -2 to charge, which I knew about. I didn't account for it properly. And then the other thing that I forgot about was Abaddon's 4-up Invuln Aura. I had assumed that my opponent was going to play with reroll hits the entire game just to help kill me. No, he just activated a 4-up Invuln, and my 2 damage going into 3 wound models, even though I'm wounding very well, I'm wounding on 2s with basically everything in my army. The Death Company are wounding on 3s, whatever. Even with all of that, the 2 damage doesn't line up very well into his 3 wounds. And the 4-up Invuln just stymies a lot of my offense. He doesn't need the reroll to hit Aura from Abaddon to kill my guys, right? Like a lot of CSM hit really hard. That's kind of like their thing. They just punch Marine bodies very well. They punch Xenos bodies very well. Everything in my army was melting super fast. And so I do think this is a favored matchup for Blood Angels, but I didn't account for. I don't think it's quite as good as I give it credit for. It was much swingier than I gave it credit for, because at a certain point in the game, we're going to be down to the scraps, and I'm going to be like, I hope that this really important unit kills Abaddon, or he has to hope that his Abaddon clears through my Dante squad so he doesn't die on his turn. There's a couple big swings like that are massive inflection points, and also because I was shooting for a 16 or a 17 or something like that, I went for all sorts of gambits that some of them paid off, some of them didn't, but it ultimately ended up costing me a couple diff here. Not to mention my opponent was like very skilled. I could tell he had played his army a bunch of times. This was Trey, who I believe was captaining their team. And they absolutely knew what they were doing. And I kind of got pantsed a little bit here. Came back with an 11, which is not bad. But given that I was predicting like a 16 on turn 3, yeah, this was just kind of a slip up from me. So cool to see Iron Warriors do well. I love me some Iron Warriors. This is like the most unassuming build ever, because you look at it and it's like, this is 35 3-wound men, 1 Forge Fiend, 1 Vashtor, 10 cultists, and 3 bikers list. It's like, surely I can demolish this shit. There's nothing in this list. No, it's actually like much more tenacious than you give it credit for. And as much as Iron Warriors don't have a defensive strat in melee, they do have the once you get grinding with them in melee and maybe you don't kill their unit, okay, then they use the grenade strat to basically throw grenades at you after you're done fighting them. Cool. That's pretty good. And then also a unit that receives a charge, doesn't die. You can spend a CP to reroll the hit, and I think it's also reroll the wound if you're below half strength. So Dante's unit goes in, hits Vashtor down to 2 wounds. Vashtor's like, 1 CP, kill 4 Sanguinary Guard. Yikes. That's not very pleasant. So just a little more awkward than I gave it credit for.
Very cool, man. Really interesting stuff. Pro tip, if you want to make the Ruffians underperform, throw Fellhammer at them, dude. We have both had bad times into this detachment, brother.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you at least scraped out a win.
With 2 polar opposite armies, too, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Versatile detachment. Who would have thunk it?
Yep.
Sweet. Very cool. All right. That leaves Mr. Max here playing his second time into Votann, this time with a perfectly accurate matrix and a very nice 10. How'd this one go, Max? What did you learn from your previous experiences?
Yeah. Well, it's not, I learned from previous mistakes, tell you that right now. One of the big differences, though, is you looked at the list, and this guy had, it was Caleb, super awesome dude. He had 10 Berserkers instead of, and then some extra trash, I think. He had Bury. He had Bury, too, which was really cool. But he had Bury and 10 Zerks instead of another land fort and 3 more Thunderkin with Grav. And so I said, okay, well, if 2 land forts and 9 Thunder can barely kill a Dorn, then 1 and 6 don't probably, unless I roll poorly. So I just shoved 2 Dorns up and tried to kind of just say, well, they're the Dorns. If you want to come out and shoot them, you're probably not going to kill them. I'm going to shoot you back. So we just kind of ended up staring at each other a little bit. I sent some OC out with Taroxes. He'd shove with his Capricus carrier. Probably my favorite play that I made was I charged some warriors on the mid. No, I charged Bury on the mid objective after I'd shot him to death with some Rough Riders. Let his berserks heroic. No, he didn't heroic. I just charged in, killed Bury. He had some Zerks roll in and charge the Rough Riders on his turn, and killed 3. I was like, oh yeah, they I guess they really are bad in like non-vehicles. They're only strength 5. So kind of bounced, killed 3, and then the horses were like, all right, we're gonna frag tip you to death, and just exploded that unit and decided to actually go and do something that game. So it was the one game I was really happy with my Rough Riders, but overall it was a really great game. I'm really happy I learned from that first game. I really believe that honestly, if I had played Caleb first and then Chris, the scores honestly just would have been flipped. And Caleb would have gotten the 16 into me, and I would have been able to hold a 10 into Chris. But just kind of how the matchups went, and I got really lucky that I'd gotten to play into a similar list with piloted by also a really good opponent one game prior. So
hell yeah, man!
Seeing the lessons being learned right away, that's sick.
Great application, dude. That's what it's all about. The other thing that it's all about is Nicholas fucking Fromm, dude. What a gangster.
This game was crazy, by the way. Okay, let me tell you a story about this game. finish this. You gotta like
Okay.
actually say some English
Okay,
words here.
I'm calling dibs here. I feel bad because I've been talking a lot, but this is my favorite story of the entire weekend because this is so fucking badass. So, Fromm is very practiced into GSC. He's played into my GSC a bunch. He's played into McDougal's GSC a bunch. He's played into who's the other guy that he had reps into? Spatho. He's playing to Spatho's GSC a bunch. So he's like, I understand how biosynthetic works. I know what I have to do. I know this is gonna be just fine. And we're like, okay, man, they have a lot of OC, but whatever you say, dude. He's like, yeah. You know, I've got the Battle Shock strat, their leadership 7. You know, if they play a slow back and forth game, I'm probably getting like a 13. We'll kind of see what's happening. And he goes and starts setting up, starts doing his thing. It's cool. And then his opponent decides, instead of playing this slow KG back and forth, just deny the objectives, make the game last forever, he charges in with all 18 aberrants at once on turn 2. Just full shoves the entire army. And Nick's like, oh, well, that's interesting. And this is where Skylar Swan, our wonderful coach, comes around, getting in the projections. You know, we've got the binder with the little thing you can point to give your projections anonymously and stuff. Be very discreet about it. Fromm has absolutely nothing to do with this. Skylar walks up and is like, hey, man, how's those things feeling? How's this game going? Tries to offer him the binder. And Fromm, without missing a beat, just says, yeah, this is a 20. Right in front of his opponent on turn 2, top of 2.
Well, if memory serves, this was also while like 15 aberrants, 3 abominants, 20 G sealers are rushing into his army. Like, you know,
sure.
Where most other people on the planet would be like, I'm shitting my pants currently. This is a 10 with 3 exclamation points. Who knows what's gonna happen? Fromm turns around as the guy's like accomplishing his 6th charge and is like, yeah, 20. What the fuck, man?
It's so VM, dude.
I mean, it really is. I'm sure that his opponent did not take especially kindly to that. Knowing Fromm, who is like one of the gentlest, kindest people on the team, I'm sure that he gave him some reassurances and whatnot. But yeah, that was a pretty baller move. He narrowly missed out, got himself a 19 that round, almost the 20 that he called for there. So props to him for putting the team on his back a little bit. If he was totally wrong about that and came out with a loss, this could have been a really tight round. It could have been a draw territory for sure. But someone's got to push through. And this round, it was Mr. Nick Fromm. So reps be damned. The dude knows how to play Catan. Hell yeah, dude. So final on this, 97-63. Another super solid win. Stop the count. We are officially the only undefeated team as Florida Alliance has drawn Deep Strike Gang this round. Thank you very much. It's the end of our show. We won. No, unfortunately not. We do have an entire day 3 to cover, but I mean, the vibes on the team after this round, pretty immaculate. We are kind of on top of the world here. We know that we have the realest round of the event, functionally the finals, tomorrow morning into Florida. If we draw Florida, we will win the event, as we will have 1 draw and they have 2. If we beat Florida, that would be way cooler. So that's what we're going to try to do. But that's day 2. Anyone have any other comments on the vibes, the atmosphere, how things are going before we move on into day 3 finally?
We had PDX sliders for dinner. It was good.
Oh, we had PDX sliders? Yeah, dude. PDX sliders is the goat, dude. If you guys come to Portland next year, PDX sliders, that's the place to go to.
Yeah, you have to get in line there after me, though. I get in line first. That's the
Alrighty, this brings us to the Floridians. Yeah.
Angelina's Greek gyros.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to that food cart. Super good food.
Dude, you remember when we rocked up on the first day and the lady looked at us like she wanted to kill us? We walked up with 12 people at 11 a.m. Hello. No, it wasn't 11 a.m. Whenever it was.
She was elated to serve us. All right, so let's take a look at our matrix here. This was kind of one of the more interesting ones. I do want to talk about this more because the Floridians have a terrifying composition.
It's just bad, man.
Jesus Christ. So they have a couple of armies that we are very, very scared of. Most notably, they have Diet Recon, which is their Grizzled Guard, which is not actually Recon Guard. I think that a couple of us in the USA server have been bad touched by Nemo or seen Nemo bad touch people a couple times too many. Or in the case of John, have themselves been bad touched by Nemo at tournaments and gotten zeros before. So we were all a little bit cautious about this situation. This is not Recon Guard, though. It does not have reactive moves. It does not have 12-inch no deep strikes. It does not have crazy good saves. It's just a bunch of dudes. But we definitely respected the hell out of this. We also respected the hell out of Ultramarines. Do the 5 USA players have that matchup shaped by experiences into Mr. Lennon on Blades of Ultramar? Maybe. I don't know. But that's a very scary list. That's very good at Warhammer. And then obviously the other massive haymaker is their Imperial Knights. Jesus Christ. There's the Knights list in all its glory. If you, for those of you all who are listening on audio, Mr. Pina, do you have some thought? You have some thoughts here? Could you
I'm holding up the amount of units they have. It's 5.
Oh, yeah, it sure is. It's a double Atropos, triple Lancer, no enhancements, no nothing. That's 2K. Have fun.
Disgusting.
In Questoris. Yeah, terrifying. So several people were mildly shitting their pants about that. And then also their Delve Votan was kind of a big mystery because most of us haven't played much into Delve, could cause people some serious problems. So, and then also not even like matrixed pretty well, but also terrifying is Mike Mazzeni's T-Sons. Mike Mazzeni is top of the freaking world right now. He's put up some absurd scores before this round. We are all very scared of him. So this is a pretty terrifying pairings matrix, I'm not gonna lie. And based on the pairings we got based on matrix, I would say we did pretty darn well. This is a pairing strategy that I try to employ when I see a bad matrix as often as possible, and is my recommendation in general. Find one bullet to bite and get as much upside for it as you possibly can. I played the front half very, very defensively so that the back half could be juice, knowing that someone was going to have to chew on something. That someone in this case was Mr. Ian. But like we've seen Ian going into garbage all weekend, and he's been coming out of the other side with a good number of points in hand. I think that was a great decision for the team. Evidently, looking at the matrix, there were some other less great decisions for the team where just the matrix was not necessarily reflective of reality. But overall, this round was crazy. So we'll go top down. Start off with myself, first defending as usual, taking GW2 as usual, playing into Blades of Ultramar. This was a godsend of an army to attack me with.
Yes.
As the team is very scared of it, and I know how it works, and I am very repped into it. This is a yellow plus, so sorry. So I guess with my on, why does this keep going back? On layout 2, this should be a green. I don't know why it keeps saying like that. So that should not be as like crazy of an upswing as it looks like there. So this is a green. That's awesome. I feel great about that. I'm going to do everything I can to grind this dude into dust. They first defend with Harpster, which is not the play we were expecting them to make. We offered him Mr. Fromm and Mr. Pina, and this was a big mistake. We knew that the matchup was going to be unpleasant for Fromm or Pina or Ian, who were the 3 guys who had questionable matrices here. Fromm was very confident that he could hold this to like a 5 at worst. His floor was a 5 or a 6. I said that would be incredible, knowing it's probably like a 3. I was just wrong. This is Terraform, which is the worst mission for Fromm. I don't think he properly understood how big of a deal that was going to be, and he got completely blown out, lost 20-0. If he were here, I'm sure he has some more justifiable defenses on some things that happened that game that were beyond his control, but at the end of the day, it was bad matrixing that resulted in a bad pairing that resulted in a 0. Bummer. I should talk about my actual game just a little bit. This is this matchup is so favored. It probably should have been a green plus, so should have been a blue prediction. My army is really, really good at killing tanks that don't have invulns. I have a ghost keel, he does not. That's like all that matters here. Something that you will have happen to you a lot on layout, especially if you play on layout 2, if you have to attack into it. Big piece of advice for attackers who play like tanks and stuff: just deploy your big things first. Please, for the love of God, deploy your big things first. This dude sets down his 1 rep X in the back L on layout 2, the God's favorite layout, and then proceeds to put down his Calgar brick is going to also be back there, and his intercessors are also back there. And I'm looking up and down the board, and I'm like, brother, I don't see a second repulsor-sized hole in your deployment zone. This is really bad, dude. And instead of taking the best option that he had and moving on, he just kept like putting it off until it was the very last thing he dropped. And I'm like, dude, there's not going to be another repulsor-sized hole. So he had to put it up on the back edge with its ass hanging out over the back, where basically my entire army could see it and shoot it top 1. If I had gone first, this game was going to be a really, really clean 20, because he also was relying on a squad of incursors. People did this all the time. You see layout 2, and people think, oh, it's probably fine because I can just stage in that central ruin, and then it's fine. Nobody tells you how they're going to get into that central ruin to stage there, and no one against me has gotten there in a meaningful capacity. The way that he wanted to do it was with incursors, and he said he'll put his incursors there and Gilliman right next to them. The incursors will scout into that ruin, and then Gilliman will be safe because he'll get the loan op from them. The problem was I have Pathfinders, right? And the Pathfinders also infiltrate and also scout. And thus, if I go first, they scout up and full block, so his incursors cannot take a step forward and thus cannot get into that L, while at the same time running down the line, killing JPIs and wrapping his Vindicator. If I had gone first in this game, I'd kill 5 JPIs, 5 incursors, a Rep X, and Gilliman, and then wrap a Vindicator. Like, that was the plan. Didn't happen, so I didn't get the 20. We just got the 18, but like this is really, really bad matchup for him. At the very end of the game, I have a chance to force the 20 as well, but I need to kill Gilliman's second life and the entire Calgar brick top to bottom, and I leave Calgar on 2. What are you going to do? It's bottom 5. I don't have lethals anymore. Can only do so much. So we do what we can. We get an 18. It's kind of gross. Moving down the line here to some of our more interesting games that were some pretty tight matchups here. I was very, very, very excited to have Mr. Siebert second defend here and be attacked by Mr. Mazzeni on his T-Sons. Because Mazzeni has been tearing it up, and as I mentioned in another life, Mr. Siebert was the Bluntmaster 9000. And Siebes in particular has an incredible skill for playing into armies that he has never played into before. That is nothing like anyone else on this team. Everyone else on this team seems to kind of shit their pants when they don't know what they're up against, myself included. But it just makes Siebes better. So I was very excited to see that happen. And he came back with a result to match. Helped this guy to a 12. Hell yeah, man. How'd this game go, Siebes?
Oh man, this is the game that I've woke up like thinking about in the middle of the night, because it was like there was so many instances. Mike's incredible, well known, obviously, Mike's community in Art of War. So I knew I didn't need anyone to tell me like this guy's good. I was like, okay, got to respect him. It's going to be a brawl. I had him explain his army to me twice because wizard things, and it was like a new twist on wizard things. Alex tried to give me as many pointers as he could going into it. But he just had a macro strategy I wasn't ready for. And that macro strategy was on Terraform. I went first, terraformed everything. He shoved everything but his damage dealers into my face and terraformed everything back and said, okay, I'm going to trade all my trash for basically 40 boys. And then we're just going to play the rest of the game with what's left. And there was like, I was like half an inch off from having a unit able to like terraform the middle. So I would have had all 3. And so it was like little tiny details that added up. But still I remember when Skylar was coming around and he was like, what do you think? And I was still thinking the 10. Like I thought I could get it back to that 10. I just couldn't quite close the gate. Turn 4, I went first. I drew like a 9 points worth of secondaries, scored them all, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get that 10. He did the exact same thing. He drew 2 cards, scored 9. I was like, damn it. But yeah, Mike we hugged it out afterwards. I was, all the respect to him, well deserved.
Very cool, man. Great job there by Trent, holding one of their throat slitters to a 12. Good stuff. Speaking of throat slitters getting 12s, Mr. Pina stepping up here against the Tau and putting his money where his mouth is. That's a green, and that's a 12 on GW8 of all things. This was a crazy game, dude. What happened?
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to my boy Morgan. He identified that this is not fun for him to play. He said, I'm going to pick layout 8. I am going to put basically the same thing that the Black Templars guy did. Is like I'm putting my whole army in this corner, and again he drew bottom turn, so he was like, I'd be lucky if I got a 5. I want to do a quick talk about something that I learned over this weekend. I think this game is the best example of that, and it was what to do when you feel like you can push, but that push comes with a risk. Basically, there was an instance where it was like my turn 2, and I'm just like, I can push. It's really risky because he still has Montka. So there's a real world. I push, kill some things, die on the crackback, and the game explodes. I ultimately decide not to. I decide to play a little bit more conservatively. I'm already killing a lot of his stuff through indirect and through puppeting. I feel like I'm not in a back foot kind of position, and maybe later in the game we can push. But it takes me a little bit of time to think, and ultimately I think that was incorrect. I think I was also I'm usually one of the more quick players on our team, so usually my game is up, so maybe I should have sat on the clock a little bit and seen how things were going. Currently, as we were projecting, things were okay. So I didn't want to, what'd you say, burn the house down? But on debriefing this round and this game, I was chatting with some people who are smarter than 40K than I am. And they said basically just have an understanding that if everyone can push, you have to trust that your friends can do it correctly at least half the time. And then if everyone pushes and you have a half success rate, then the guys who fail don't fail enough to get 20 out. And I think ultimately, if that's the case, I should have pushed and maybe gotten the 15, 16. I'm still happy with the 12. Don't get me wrong. I think it was fine. But I think that's something that if I have to walk away with one lesson this whole weekend, is that you need to be more pushy than not pushy if everyone's on the same page. Also, when a game later to the ground, like round 3 or 4, Morgan was like, oh, you're going to try and push? I'm just going to fucking zone you out with like the Pathfinders, with all this stuff. Like, he didn't even use Montka basically at all. He was like, whatever, we're playing for the bottom of the turn. And so I couldn't really ever generate an actual go turn. I just kept like clawing away at the first layers. So I killed like a Riptide, 2 Piranhas. I killed a lot of stuff, but it just didn't really matter because he ended the game with enough material to keep it somewhat close. So shout out to Morgan. I'll go for it.
We can retrospective all we want about what may or may not have been the right move for you to do in this situation. We got to give some massive props to your opponent for recognizing what to do about here. As a Montka player, actively selecting GW8 is crazy. That is not the kind of thing that goes anywhere near your instincts. But he recognized that was what he had to do to play the kind of game that he had to play to get the blunting that he had to blunt. Awesome. Doing the things that he had to do. That's what Teams 40K is all about. So massive props to that man for putting 2 and 2 together in the right way there. That's
bro understood the fucking mission.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Very cool. Nice. Good stuff, man. Moving on down the line, that brings us to Mr. Swallow, who, as we said, has to take the unfortunate reality that someone has to play into that Grizzled Guard list. And today, that man is going to be you. Mr. Ian, tell us about this game.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this game, so I'm sure I'm going to miss something on it as I go over the course of the game. But this is another one of the games where me and Tucker, I walked up to the table, and there was kind of like an unspoken, like, yeah, we know the context of this game where Tucker's looking to 20 me, and I'm looking to scrounge together whatever points I can find. I'm playing right next to Harpster, and my list is very similar to Harpster's list. So, like, I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he's like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that this happened to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, you know exactly. It is what it is, right?" Going into it, because it's Terraform, right? Going first is such a huge deal. And since I'm running so many immolators with Dominions inside, I scout them. I can move so fast that I can kind of just like block him from standing on the objective, and I'll at least score some Terraform points. And that was hopefully how I was going to score my diff. We roll to go first. I go second. All right, well, fair enough. And Tucker's a good enough player. I mean, like he's an auto war. He really, really clearly showcased that he knows what he's doing. He scouted the Catachan forward. He blocked my expansion entirely. I couldn't stand on my expansion on my first turn, and he got 2 guardsmen on his expansion. And for those who don't know, 2 guardsmen equals 8 OC, and my Dominion package with a immolator is 7 OC. So I can't actually flip an objective off of 2 guardsmen with like my bread and butter unit that's supposed to go and flip objectives. With that in mind, there was a really cute and cool play that I had going into Tucker, where the first turn I drew like action secondaries, one of which was cleanse, and I'm certainly not going to do that when he's blocking me from standing on my own objective, so I have to do it on his expansion. So I send 1 immolator, I hop out the girls, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to set up Vol to shoot at these 2 dudes, specifically right at 24 inches of all the missiles are in, and we're going to shoot at these 2 dudes standing on the objective. I'm going to now fire at you with an immolator. Would you like to pull your dude that Vol can shoot at? And whether he didn't realize it, whether he didn't want Vol to shoot at them, he was like, yep, I'm going to pull that 1 dude. All right, cool. I'm going to terraform. I'm going to cleanse, and I'm done at this on this objective. We're going to go and do other things now.
+1 div.
Yeah, +1 div. He immediately unterraformed it. I mean, it is what it is. But you know, +1 diff. You know, cleanse got me those 3 points, and that really mattered. And then there was like a few other things that I kind of like hand wavy somehow got points here or there. I'm really proud of the 2 points I got this game. This game was blatantly unplayable. Like this is, I can't think of a worse matchup for sisters. The terrain was fine. I mean, honestly, if I had gone first, the crates on WTC helped me block the center objective, so that helps me on that front. But yeah, Tucker was a lovely opponent. That guy, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, I mean, you can see it in all the I guess not stat reps, all the battle reports on Art of War.
I wish those motherfuckers were making stat reps.
Yeah, I mean, he was also like, he was really funny. He was walking around the event with like a minion hat on because you know he's playing into the bit that he's a literal child. Yeah, dude, it was also kind of like awesome to kind of be in the presence of greatness. You know, sitting right next to Jack Harvester, and you're playing against the other top tier tables, and everybody kind of understanding like their role within the team. It really did feel like now we're playing Team 40K. Now we're like all settled into our role and doing the thing that we're all trying to do. I don't know. This round was a total vibe. I would love to play Tucker in a matchup that isn't so turbo doomed, so that I could like try and showcase my skills a bit more. But no, I'm pretty proud with the 2 that I got here. It was a hard game to play. I'm a lot of bait and switch that got me those 2 points, and I'm pretty content with it. There was one moment at the very end of the game that would have tied us the round. Vol needed an 11-inch charge, and I had a 6 in the pool. And I'm like, dude, this is the sweatiest 11-inch charge that we're all going to be making. Of course, I don't make it. CPU reroll, don't make it. It is what it is. I can't be too upset. It is an 11-inch charge. That's asking a lot. But, like, man, wouldn't it have been nice, you know?
Better than 1 in 3, man. 1 in 3 plus the reroll for an 11.
Yeah.
Got effort, dude. Really great work here, man. Would have been. I really liked like, the process of workshopping how to do this right on the right table. If you go first to try to find the points, is going to be what it's going to be, man. Really, really awesome.
One more small point is that I knew there was so little game for me to play that at the beginning of every single one of my turns, I blatantly just took like 10 minutes just sitting there thinking, how can I deviate? How can I brew some plot to find one diff, like any small points that I can find? I would spend literally like 5-10 minutes but at the start of my command phase. All right, how can I figure out the best way to get, because I knew he was getting 100 points. How do I get to 56 points this game? And lo and behold, at the end of the game, I scored 56 victory points.
Let's freaking go, dude. Very nice. Awesome, dude. Okay, sweet. So that's Ian holding down the fort, getting that. Because, guys, as much as you may, if you're not a big teams guy and you're looking at this, you're like, why are you guys so excited about this dude getting a 2? You got to remember that those 2 diff are worth just as much as every other 2 diff, right? That's the same as the difference between Siebes getting an 8 and Siebes getting a 6. That's the same as the difference between me getting an 18 and me getting a 16. Like every single one of these 2 diff matters a lot. We are 2 diff away from trying the round that we end up losing. Every single one matters, and Ian fought like hell for it, and we're really proud of him for that. So great work there, Ian. Okay. Moving on down the line, Lucas is attacking their Delve Votan. This is a faction that we all think is really cool and all wish we had more reps into. And throwing Lucas into a melee mirror match in some relatively unfamiliar territory, I'm Happy with that pairings decision. Unfortunately, it doesn't come back quite as well as we hope, but that's how the cookie crumbles when our opponents bring a ton of unexpected lists. How did this matchup go for you, Lucas?
This game honestly looked a lot like the Sisters game that I played in round 3, where I went second and had to concede a lot of tempo on the board in exchange to building up my CP and getting nasty rapid ingresses on him. For those who haven't seen Delve, it's mostly just like 2 land fortresses, 2 Jaeger cars, and 40 to 50 berserkers. So he doesn't have a lot. After I've cleared his first round of crap, there isn't a lot that's screening out my rapid ingresses, and we're kind of punching the hell out of each other. What I failed to account for was I mentally kind of had chalked this one up as very similar to the Sisters game. And I'm like, okay, I can play slow and play for the late game. The first thing that I didn't account for, was how many points I was going to lose early on Terraform. When he went first and was like, all of the objectives are move blocked with Jaegers. I've terraformed all of them. Would you like to expose 2 units to kill 2 squads of Jaegers? Maybe. There's a reactive move in there. And hold me to an 8 instead of a 12. And I'm like, no. No thanks. So I just kind of sit there. And then the next turn, I'm able to like pull some cheeky bullshit on him. I kill his units and get some unterraforms in there. My intercessors scrape a unit. Intercessors goated unit, by the way. Intercessors scrape his Jaegers off the middle. But at this point, he's gotten a 12 on primary, 3 terraforms at the end of my turn, another 12 on primary, 2 terraforms, and then I actually start taking back most of the board. I terraform his home field on like turn 4. I unterraform the middle. I unterraform my expansion, and I really push him back hard. The other thing I failed to account for this game was just how hard it is to initiate on each other. Like these are 2 melee armies that, while they're really fast, the Delve guys can go really fast out of their land fortress with good staging because they're in a fucking land fortress. And Blood Angel's obviously one of the best staging aggressive launch out and hit someone armies in the game. It both seems on paper like we want to play that kind of initiating game, but both of us are actually much better at receiving the charge than initiating. Because when he's making his plans about committing into me, he's like, okay, I have to play around the Death Company Fight on Death. I have to play around Armor of Contempt. I have to play around Dante's Battle Shock. I have to play around Death Company 5 Feel No Pain. And I have to play around that asshole captain rapid ingressing and heroicing with Fight First. Cool. Those are the laundry list of things that he needs to play around. I don't have to play around nearly as much, but I can't use my defensive strats when he fights on death. And his fight on death is really nasty to me, right? Because it's strength 5, AP 2, damage 3. I can't use Armor of Contempt. The fact that he's battle shocked from Dante doesn't matter. The fight on death is built into the datasheet. So like neither of one of us wants to initiate the fight. So his early game of racking up points really went in his favor because when it turn 3 rolled around and I'm like, I need to go and kill him, I wasn't actually able to do that because this is more of a defensive favored melee matchup, weirdly enough. And so, yeah, it just ends up being a big old scrap. Dante goes on a rampage in the late game, kills a land fortress, kills his home field, Iron Master, kills another land fortress. Like, let's fucking go. The Region of Imperial Nihilist, baby. What a hero. But I'm not able to make enough of a comeback to get the green that I promised. And so I think a little bit of that was Terraform, and then a little bit of that was just the not quite understanding the dynamics of this is not an aggressively favored melee matchup. It's a you want to receive the charge melee matchup, which is completely bad. I'm used to like Orcs versus World Leaders, right? Where like whoever lands the charge will win. In this one, it's whoever lands the charge dies for free in their opponent's turn, which is so goofy. Yeah. Or sorry, dies for free in their own turn. Yeah. Very, very, very silly game, but a lot of fun. This was my most pleasant opponent by far. Bryce, absolute gent, super fun game, and yeah, would happily play him again in a heartbeat. Bit of a bummer that we live on the opposite ends of the country from each other.
Very nice, very nice. That brings us to our final 2 games here on kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. Mr. Max going into the Imperial Knights, bit of home court advantage for you there on the models. How did this go for you, brother?
Yeah, well, as you can see, I put it as green, got a red, and really kind of just boiled down to one simple mistake. You know, if I screen out every single dice result and not just the first 5, you got to screen out that 6th. Because if you don't, bad things happen. And in this case, the bad thing was a Lancer running. God, was it 14 base?
So what, 20 inches?
23 inches. 23
Oh,
inches.
because of the movement oath.
Yep, so he sprinted up 23 inches, 1 inch away from both my Dorns, and tagged them bottom of 1. The game went sideways from there. For lack of a the Lancer didn't ace a Dorn. I had a 4 pinball and that helped in the blank help, but good lord, it was oh no, yeah, Joshi, it was uh-oh. That was about how that game felt, was uh-oh, and I started trying to scrape back. But yeah, I mean, the opponent was awesome, very, very funny. I mean, second he rolled a 6, he looked at me and said, "My army's bullshit." I was like, not really. Just really funny game. But yeah, it was just move a Tarks 5 more inches, block off a 6-inch advance, and probably a little bit better of a game. But I'll pass it over to Trent.
For sure. Mr. Trent here refused those cowardly Votan, did not want anything to do with him. And he is falling down into the Drukari, which Lucas also didn't want a whole lot to do with necessarily. This was the golden one. How'd it go, Mr. Trent?
Yeah, I have now 3 experiences into Florida Alliance. I've always enjoyed playing against them. 2 of those experiences were getting to play against Bryce, and I thought that, he was going to keep the trend going, let us play 3 for 3, but he's a coward, and he banished me to the Forgotten Realm, where I end up into Keenan on Dark Eldar. And I main Dark Eldar, and I main Death Guard, and I really just want to say it was a messed up thing you did to Keenan, guys. Like, I am holding up 5 fingers, and I lost less than those amount of models in the entirety of the game. -1 to hit is a war crime. Poxwalkers apparently conquer witches in melee without fail, and Chaos Spawn, especially Death Guard Chaos Spawn, are basically an unassailable unit type for them. So
crazy.
Yeah. Keenan was a great opponent in that he kept it positive and he was happy the whole game, and not a lot went his way, both from a matchup standpoint, straight down to some of his dice rolls. Like, guy couldn't catch a break, and it's really all Bryce's fault because Bryce is a coward and he wouldn't play me. So anyway, I don't want to rub any more salt in the wound. Keenan was an awesome opponent. I loved the look of his army. He's a fellow Drukari player, so I executed him in the true Drukari fashion.
Getting fucking bombarded
from all angles.
Look at my cool skyboard. Just gets fucking iced by a dead cow shot out of a fucking plague burst crawler, medieval style.
Oh man! Oh no! You can charge me on my turn. I'm so scared. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I did, in fact, invite him to do that on many occasions, and he would not oblige.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Alrighty. Well, at the end of the round there, we end up tragically with 2 big wins, 1 small win, 2 draws, and 3 big losses, which puts us just a little bit behind the 8 ball, and we go down 73-87. 2 diff off a draw and an event win. Every single one of us, as I said to the boys earlier, other than Trent, because Trent's a G, but all the rest of us mortals, were at least 2 differential under a 20 and could have independently put the game on our backs. Unfortunately, none of us were quite able to make it happen there. But
It's fine. It's fine.
We win as a team and we lose as a team, and that does mean losing as a team sometimes. So real proud of the effort that everyone put forward into this one. Real unfortunate that we weren't able to quite get over the hump there, but glad to go home a little bit hungry with plans on seeking some pretty sweet revenge next time we run into these boys, which I'm sure will happen again. Props to all of them. They played fantastically. They were all stand-up gentlemen. I received exactly 0 complaints from any of my players about their guys. They were all awesome. We loved them.
Florida.
Oh yeah, that's kind of embarrassing, but what are
Nobody's
they going to do about that?
Nobody's perfect.
Alrighty, cool. Well, that does more or less secure us into a podium position at least. And up next, we've got our bit of a victory lap here to lock in against BFH, which stands for Big Fucking Hammers. This matrix, unlike the last one,
put up that funny scrum one more time.
The funny scrum was very funny, but the matrix in general was a lot better. They have one player on their team who plays GSC who's okay, and then they have some other armies that were
guys. Crusher's a real detachment, right?
right, guys.
What the fuck?
Useless
army, fucking useless.
That's a little harsh, but yeah, probably not the detachment that I would be bringing in teams. And our comp has some very, very good matchups into big, stupid monsters kind of across the board. So the pairings here, basically the plan is let Floof eat someone and let everyone else go to town. And
oh my God,
those are certainly some of the pairings of all time. I went ahead and first defended in a big shocking turn of events. Took layout 2 just because I was feeling like spicing it up a little bit. Oh, that's right. I need to zoom actually in. That's why it keeps getting mad at me. So yeah, I did that. They offered me Dark Eldar and Crusher Nids. I will admit I was. Oh, and also this says yellow. This is wrong because this is a plus. Obviously, this is green. They offered me Dark Eldar and they offered me Crush Nids. I would be lying if I said that I was not sorely tempted to take the Nids. But I had played the Dark Eldar matchup into a really competent Dark Eldar player on layout 2 the other day, and it was real bad for him. So I said, I'll let someone else have fun with the Nids, and I'll blow this guy to Kingdom Come. And that's exactly what happened. The final battle point score of this game was 100-38. So 22 -2. Yeah, this layout 2 is a war crime. What can I say? I also have the best ever army for dealing with Spectacle of Spite, because what are you going to do? Charge the flamer suits? And then also, like, the main shtick of the army is ha, go tag things. But like, my piranhas move 14 and you can't reactive charge a piranha that falls back. So like the default, oh man, it's unassailable plan for holding the expansion for this army is you put in the open, because they want to do that. You put a venom on the point, you put dudes in the venom, and then you put dudes behind the wall next to the point. And you're like, well, if you shoot me, you'll get activation locked, you'll kill the venom, the dudes will get out, maybe they'll survive. If you run over there to make sure that doesn't happen, you're going to get charged by the dudes inside from behind the wall, and then you're screwed. What are you going to do about it? And I'm like, well, you tagged my piranha, but it moves 14, and you can't reactive charge me if I fall back. So I'm just going to move my piranha 14 inches onto the objective, and it's OC2, and your boat's OC1. And I'm going to shoot everything else. Good talk.
Also, I just killed the boat and then kill the guys inside. Smile.
I mean, that too, but like, I can try and sound cool for a minute. But yeah, this was brutal. If you ever have to play this matchup as a Dark Eldar player, deploy your entire army on the line and pray you go first.
Let's fucking go.
It's the only way to try to play this. He did have mandrakes, which is really cool, and mandrakes can genuinely make my life more complicated. But no one knew the thing to do. The thing to do, into me specifically with mandrakes, is just to deploy them on my expansion on the edge of that terrain feature so that my storm surge can't touch it by moving onto it.
Yep.
This does not like win you the game or anything, but it slows me down by a turn and forces me to be moving the following turn. And maybe I get tagged. It just makes this. Yeah.
Question: would you like charge those mandrakes with 4?
100%.
Yeah.
I would tank shock them with a storm surge, and I would. So what I would do is I would shoot them with like one missile drone or something at a time, so I could whittle them down. I would shoot 4 shots at a time, making sure that they couldn't die, and then once they were down in reasonable range, storm surge charges on. That's
Thunder
what we do.
dies, splatters the last 2, and then stomps onto the plate.
Exactly. That's the plan. But it's not like that's a complicated plan and costs a CP as opposed to the like move model on 2 point C hole everything.
Yep.
But yeah, this was real bad for him. Real bad. I kept thinking Hellions were faster than they are. I was like being really careful. Hellions just move 16. What the hell?
Yeah, just move 16.
Why don't they advance in charge? This is Drukari. I don't get it. This army is very bad to me. It's really unfortunate, particularly when it's never allowed to stand behind a wall. I took his home field on turn 2. Like it was bad. His both of his squads of his Hellions ingressed in random places, came out, killed a thing, and then died. Cool. Oh, I did go for the this is another one of those games where, man, if I had gone first, it would have been over so much faster. I went for the maximal disrespect line and deployed my ghost keel on his expansion 9 inches off the line.
Jesus.
And I was like, well, if I go first, I'm going to auto advance 6 and see behind the wall. Yeah, I know Ashley 16 is only with the move drug, but that's what I meant. I just see behind the wall and just blat his raider. And I'm like, that's cool. Moving on. Because there's nothing in this army that can kill a ghost keel. It's ridiculous. He's like, well, I got Melta-bikes. I'm like, cool. How many shots does your 6-man Melta-bike squad have? And he's like, 2. I'm like, oh no. Anyway, guess how many blanks a ghost keel has? This was disgusting. I should stop talking about this. There were probably more interesting games that happened, but yeah, this was bad. Anyway, up next we had Ian once again playing into the guard. I assume that's a green minus, so on his table it's actually a yellow.
Yeah.
And a yellow indeed it was. Let me give you your credit here. Cool. Anything super interesting, exciting in this game?
It was pleasant to play into Bailey because I hung out with him a few times. We stayed at the same Airbnb before, and we just kind of never ships in the night, you know. We had never played against each other, so it was pleasant to get to experience that. I had a really big bozo move where I rapid ingressed Vol. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna then be able to move 9 and shoot Dorn, and then I'm actually like 2 inches out because I am a bozo, and it's the 6th round of the event, and I actually can't fire my Meltas. So instead, Vol is just going to be useless for the rest of the game. Big sad. Yeah, a 10. I was a little upset with a 10 because I knew I probably could have scored a bit more. But like by the second round, it was like the game. The round was. I was getting the info from the coach. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. So I'm like, all right, you know, I can't be too upset. You know, we'll take the dub where we can get the dub. One thing I want to note is that I was listening to these guys' podcast because they had a podcast on WCW too, and they noted on our game and it was like, yeah, Ian Swallow, that guy, he's a good player. I'm like, oh, that's pleasant. And then Floof was like, that guy is like a Backstreet Boy or something to that effect. I'm like, I have no idea what that means, but I guess I'll take it. And then the third comment was like, that guy is a handsome fella. I'm like, wow, I feel that. That feels pretty good, man. That feels quite nice. So yeah, these guys were very, very pleasant to play against. I had a really boring game against Bailey, but I mean that's guard versus sisters, man. We're just, you know, wet needle fight is what it is.
You 20-0'd them with the face card.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Back in our usual form, we have Mr. Siebes second defending, and they attacked the Crusher Nids into Mr. Siebes. And we accepted.
I think what I remember this one was I was like, I don't know, are you sure you're Crusher? Because like in my head I was thinking Battle Shocks and that was going to be a big problem. And then you're like, no, you're taking this. And then Lucas like grabs the book and I was like, which map? And he's like, this one. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go with what the wise sages say. And you guys nailed it on the head. The only like I was able to jail him with just my trash and then slam into him with a full wah. That was the crux of the game. We called it after 3. But the weird, funny thing I did is I strung Gaz's squad all the way, Hammer and Anvil, all the way back to my home, and he was staged near my expansion, so I could sticky it So I didn't have to worry about the battle shock because I did not trust Grotz to pass a battle shock. So I stuck in it. So I actually wad turn 3 because I just needed to recollect all the boys back over onto my expansion. I was like, oh man, if you shoot the biovore over here and kills a couple of boys, I might lose some of the coherency.
Yo, that's fucking a little bit. That's so fucking crazy that you guys called it after 3 and you wad on turn 3.
Oh yeah, it was like the bottom of we finished up his turn. And
2
then
turns are staring, and then he gets 70 orcs deposited into his deployment zone, and he's like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going home."
Yeah. Zodgrod was just like glue. He touched everything in like the center. It was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, you love to hear it.
Yeah,
very nice.
It was a fun game. Good one to end on.
The second 20 has hit the matrix. Very nicely done, John. Up third here, the foreshadowing finally comes to pass as Mr. Trent is going out early, attacking the Need Guard Votan and coming back with some bacon. How'd it go, Trent?
Yeah, I play Andrew. He is a man with a spectacular mustache, a great disposition for the game, and a beautifully painted army. And we all learned that you run into Death Guard turn 1, and then Plague Marines come out and they kill your land for it, and then all your trash dies, and then the game takes a downward spiral from there. It happened a few times this event. Plague Marines are very lethal. It's basically a breacher team that has Morven Vol level output, and if you dare them to kill your thing, they probably going to do it. And unfortunately, he wasn't familiar with that, and he lost the land fort and its contents bottom of 1, along with a lot of his Jaegers and various trash, and it was just kind of impossible to fully recover from that going forward. So don't need to really bore you with the rest of the details, but that was kind of the deciding moment of our game. He went and got us a beer, and we kind of just drank through the last 3 rounds, you know? So
amazing.
There we go. Stellar opponent, definitely one of my favorite games. Just from a social aspect, the whole event, I would definitely play Drew again.
A nice beer, classic Dowie coping mechanism.
Yeah.
The fort died on turn 1. Need some alcohol.
Good stuff. Already. Enough props cannot be given to Andrew, by the way, for how dastardly he outmustaches every other man in a Warhammer building and his paint jobs. Floof, you're in the comments. You guys went home with some hardware, right? Was that best overall or best paint or something? Mostly on the back of Andrew.
It was best painted.
Best painted? Yeah. I mean, well deserved. Andrew's stuff is incredible, as was the rest of the team that I got to see. Lots of good stuff. Cool. Moving on then, we get down to Mr. Lucas again, who is once again in the cuck chair, going into Incursion Demons. Let's see if Lucas can chew on the boys where Trent could not quite thunder smash them. Looks like not there either. Is Incursion Demons the better demons? What is going on here? It's
certainly not bad. I wouldn't say that being able to 6-inch deep strike on demand everywhere on the table is bad. Yeah, this was another matchup where I thought I was going to Thunderdome him harder than I was. The army-wide 4-up invuln really makes the confirmed kills iffy. And the problem with Rage Cursed Onslaught is all of your damage comes on the charge. So if you go in and don't kill the target, then they're going to win the grind fight against you. Especially these Nurgle demons that are toughness 12, toughness 13, where the Sanguinary Guard all of a sudden go from, I charge in, I have +1 attack, and I wound on 4s. Cool. Ongoing combat, I have no +1 attack, and I wound on 6s. So I was able to ice a lot of his stuff early on. I was able to kill the Grinder. I was able to kill the Lock. I was able to kill Scarbrand. I was able to kill both his Beasts and Nurgle. And then Rodigus was just Bing Shilling on his expansion. And the GUO being chilling on the middle, and he held his home field for a while. It's like, that's just a bunch of primary points that I can't really interact with. And this guy's build was so fucking greedy, but he didn't matter because he was drawing like 5-point cards every single time. He's like, oh, no prisoners and assassinate. Don't mind if I do. Tempting target and fucking secure. I'm like, where is Sabotage? Sabotage is in your deck. Fucking Recover Assets is in your deck. You have 5 units. There's no way you're doing Recover Assets. Oh, nope. engage on all fronts for 4 points. And let's see, extend battle lines. I'm like, fucking kill me, man. Fucking kill me. So I just ripped my headset cord out. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But yeah, it was a bit of a slog. I mean, I just have enough units and I can kind of go all over the board where I'm not getting blown out in this game, right? I'm scoring enough points. He's not unseating me from my expansion, especially on the board we were playing on. That really played a factor. We played on Tipping 2, which is the one with the super M that's in the corner that like has the super defensible expansion. So just the like one Shad unit was just standing there in front of the objective, and then 5 scouts were just huddled behind like 5 points per turn. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't give enough credit to the durability of those Nurgle demons, the big Nurgle demons, continuing to bash my guys as well. Because like, yeah, they do less damage than a Khorne Greater Demon, but you don't need a lot of damage to kill a Marine body. A GUO is enough.
Nice. Unstoppable force meet immovable object already. Speaking of unstoppable forces, I don't know, maybe Incursion demons aren't actually the best demons. Mr. Pina here had a one of the games of all time into Chaos Space Marines. How'd that go, brother?
A few things I need to address. One, Floof, please. I agree with Ashley. Boy bands are my culture. I grew up listening to the radio. Please do your research. Stop offending everyone else, or Zillennials. Secondly, I was just about to say that I'm actually unsure if Sint is better than Incursion, just because given the data that we collected, anecdotally, it seems that Incursion has just better play into everything, but I don't think it can slam dunk as hard as Sint can. Segue that into this game. My opponent, Wyatt, knew what was happening. A lot of my opponents, I had only been on Sint for like 2 weeks, and apparently this army's been around since Christmas. Kim, I'm coming after you. Yeah, so everyone knew what was up with this matchup way more than I did. So he was like, I'm going to deploy on the line, and I'm going to pray to go first, get within your 18-inch bubble, and just start blasting. That did not happen. I mean, 2/3 happened. Wyatt deployed first and then went second. And this was not the winning move. I turn 1, killed the Vindicator, and wouldn't you know it, it exploded and did 3 damage to both of his Venom Crawlers. They are at 6 now. Or they did like 2 damage to a Venom Crawler. He pushes up a little bit, kills a little bit of my trash. I turn 2, I kill a Forge Fiend. It explodes. And also, like, both of his Vindicators are like half health. Everything's like -1. I have 2 birds in the middle at this point. A bird looking at his home field. I killed like a Vindicator. He's like almost out of shooting targets. He connects with Vashtor and I think 1 Lord Disco. Fails like a 5-inch charge with a Disco. It's so sad. And then the game ends on the spot because he doesn't kill a bird. Vashtor like falls back. Is at like 1 wound. I don't normally say things like this, but apparently what I said was I was like looking at secondaries. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get the 20 either way. I'm just not going to go after these secondaries. We're just going to get you out of here. We're just going to get you out of this game. Because it was so jovial. He was tabled. Like, I could have gone after some bikes. And I was like, I don't even need to do that. You can score whatever. I feel bad because he was like, I just need to get 51 points. And he was at like 41. And he just could not draw anything. I also... Every once in a while, I have what I would describe as a Mr. Bean moment. And that happened this game as well, where I forgot Wyatt's name. And of course, I could have just looked at BCP and looked at what the fuck my opponent's name was, like a normal, well-adjusted human being could. But I know Floof personally. We've hung out, we've done tournaments together. So I was going to ask Floof real quick. It's like it's so easy. I go to Floof, I'm like, Floof, I don't want to be rude. What's my opponent's name? And then Floof just screams, Wyatt, what's your name? Oh, the name on the back of his jersey. What's your name? And so that, I was like, oh, of course. I could just pretend to be a normal human being for 5 more minutes. But no, I couldn't. But Wyatt was a great opponent. I think he knew what was up, and I think he knew his way out. And unfortunately, I rolled better for that one turn. And it was fine. So GG's. I think that Renegade Raiders is not very playable into Sint. I don't know if there's a world where it's a playable. I think in hindsight, if you put all 2,000 points on your natural, it's like closer to a 15-16. But I don't think trying to go first at round 6 of a tournament is incorrect.
For sure.
That's it.
Fair
That's
enough.
my tirade.
That's our third 28 of the round. Moving on down to the man we fed, to the floofster. How'd your game go, Max?
Yeah, it was
Someone
really
had
fun.
to do it. I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, I hadn't played into Host of Ascension since it got its taken out back, kind of is what some folks said. But since it's got big balance changes, and Floof was a really, really great opponent. Was kind of saw that I was like, oh, not super familiar exactly with the new HOA, so really was helpful with walking me through everything. And then we kind of got into the game, and my deployment was a little bit of an oopsie. I put my Dorns in the corner closest to my natural expansion instead of my home. We were playing Linchpin, and Floof, being the great player that they are, did exploit that and said, I'm going to take your home objective, and you're not going to hold that home objective for the rest of the game. And I only was able to take it back and hold it bottom of 5, which got me the 3, which was nice. But no, it was just a really, really fun game. It was really nice to play someone who was just like, hey, I want to play by intent. This is my intent here. Oh, you got a laser level just to make sure that like I can't see this unit of yours. And it was just a really great, very stand-up game of 40K that we got to play together, which was very fun for me. And I'm sure that they've gone over the game on their channel at Nexus Floof. So if you want a more in-detailed and higher level analysis of that game, I'd recommend checking that out. But no, it was a fun game. Fun. It's always fun to play against opponents that are like much, much better than you. You learn so much from that, especially on an army like GSC, where it's very rewarding to those players who are, that put the reps in and put the time in. So it was really fun.
And now, I'm not sure if Floof agrees with me, but looking at the result of this game and looking at the column that we had in our matrix for Host of Ascension, which is obviously statistically significant with the 0 games we played against it recently, I think Host of Ascension deserves another 150-point hike in rules nerf. Thoughts?
Agree. Honestly, they should be able to come back out. Once you kill a unit, they shouldn't come back. No more Cult Ambush. Thanks.
Just bring back Please give us Crossfire back.
True. Actually, that
Max.
mechanic was cool. That mechanic was
Crossfire
I
back.
want to give you big props here, Max. Going into this round, Floof and I both had 82 battle points or diff points. At the end of the battle, I had 102, and Floof only had 99. So thanks for making sure that I ended up on top of them. That's always where I want to be. Moving on to our final round here, we have Mr. Fromm playing into World Eaters. In a Shogun Term events, 5 Catan, turn the melee matchup inside out. Fromm got a 16. Good job, Nick. Sweet. So at the end of the day, we ended with 117 points, our second highest of the round. Nice to end on a high note after starting on one. Overall, that does land us. Oh, I probably should have just I'll get the BCP up here in a sec, but that is the end of the event. We do end up in second place. I'll pull up some individual accolades momentarily. But in the meantime, some reflections, boys. How was this event? Who's got something to say?
I will say that I am sad that we somehow did not pair into Pantheon or Scintillating Legion a single time throughout the entirety of the event when I'm playing a list Loki designed to counter those lists. What the fuck, guys? Can't everybody be playing meta stuff, please? Like, now I just look like a bozo, man.
Now I look like a bozo because I underperformed and I didn't play against the 2 hard counters to my list. Smile. Yeah, so that was a little awkward. We played against a bunch of like random fucking stuff. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
Like there was just a lot of like, what the hell is Hex Warp Thrallband? What the hell is Grizzled with 150 bodies? Host of Ascension, what the fuck is this? Fellhammer Siege Host?
Company of
Can we
Heroes?
play against some Catan? We
GSC?
played against 2 Catan. Just a lot of random stuff. Honestly, considering the amount of curveballs that got thrown our way, I think we did a pretty good job. Like there was we barely lost 1 round. We did not tie, and we annihilated everyone else.
Yep.
Which is pretty sick. I think that speaks to the quality of our players in our comp, right? Where we had like a good idea of what we wanted to do going in, and we executed on it. Like those scores are big boy scores. Holy shit.
That round 1 got down.
Yeah, on tie breaks here, if anything had come to that, which it didn't. Florida has 575 battle points. We have 624. Nobody else cracked 600. Just obliterating people left and right.
Yep.
Real bummer that it comes down to those two diff right there, but fantastic work. Some individual players that did especially well. Mr. Trent, of course, our number one performer, ends up in second place individually overall. Hell yeah. I finished just behind him in third, which was super cool. Floof down here in fifth. Mazzeni here in seventh for the rest of our boys.
Tim Grant. No, shit out Tim Grant. Tim Grant's our G-Stray gang boy. He came in seventh?
Yeah. Eighth, yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, well, he's playing Necron, so he's cheating.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are we talking about? Yeah, moving on.
Actually, we're not talking at all.
Did Forrest drop 1 point?
He dropped
one point. 2020,
Yeah, honestly,
2020.
What a king. What a king.
True. Yeah.
The rest of our boys here, Mr. Siebert coming in a clutch 28th. He'd be much higher if we didn't make him take that L into Mazzeni, but that was one of his biggest contributions over the course of the weekend. So big thumbs up for that. Lucas ends up here in 37th, couple draws, but no losses. Frami up and down, a lot of up, a lot of down. Ian took a lot of stuff on the chin because he absolutely had to, and we came out better for it. Max a little bit
made
up
mistakes
and down as well. Not necessarily his best showing ever, but a couple of clutch points along the way.
They misspelled your faction name too. God damn.
Anyway, and then who? Is someone planned to a different team who we didn't cover there? Is that all of us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that's 8. No, because that's
Frami. No, that's 8.
That's 8. Yeah. No, okay. It got it right now. Okay, cool. For some reason earlier it wasn't working that. So overall, really proud of you boys. We did a good thing. We did not come home with the trophy that we had in mind, but we did come home with bunch of fantastic stories, some records to be really proud of, and a whole lot of learning and camaraderie along the way. So big thumbs up to you boys for this. I look forward to nothing more than running this back next year. When they will be back, it will be bigger. It will be better than ever. If you are somehow still listening to this podcast 2 hours and 40 minutes in, and you are not planning on coming to West Coast Warbands next year, reconsider whatever life choices got you to that decision, because you absolutely should be.
Also, if you're planning to win the event next year, may as well fucking stay home. We're not going to lose it again. We're going to take this shit down. We're not going to lose to Swamp Dwellers 2 years in a row. We're going to win this shit. It's our city. Get the fuck out of here. I'm so mad that we fucking lost.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But we look forward to this. We'll be do not worry. You will be hearing from the Ruffians again before then. We'll be obviously at Challengers Cup this year. There are talks about some other team events between and after then, which could be some great fun. Look out for those. We'll be back with more Take All Comers and more stat reps soon to cover a couple things. I've got an episode in the works. Oh, we have to do listener questions. But before I forget, I've got an episode in the works on coaching in Teams 40K. I'm going to have what's Dan's actual last name? He's just Dan.
Dan.
No. The USA Dan.
USA?
Oh.
Yeah.
Upstate Dan.
Upstate Dan, the GOAT. What is? I don't remember Dan's last name. Anyway.
It's Italian. I'm not going to say that.
Anyway, we're gonna have. I think we're gonna have Upstate Dan, fellow USA coach on. Maybe we'll get Skylar on as well. Talk about his experiences there. We're gonna talk about how to be a coach in teams, if that's something you've wanted to do or not really been sure how to do, or how to get someone involved on, and just what the depth of that can look like. That's coming up soon. No way to do that in this episode, but look forward to it. I got a couple of listener questions we got to run through real quick, and then we'll move on. If you're listening and want your questions answered, you can do that in our Discord link in the which you get to the Patreon link in the description, or you can super chat, or you can just chat a really good question. But I'm not going to lie, I'm not answering any questions out of the chat. 2 hours and 41 minutes in. Thanks. First question comes in from Beginner Sam. We only have 2 questions. Who asks, do you expect nerfs to Astra Militarum's orders? Thinking about starting recon element, but I'm concerned that by the time I can prax it will be dead. Guard just got nerfed. They went after Grizzled in particular. I think that if they wanted to nerf Nemo, they would have done it by now. I've seen basically 0 other meaningful finishes from Recon Guard by people not named Nemo. So I don't see any reason if I were GW that I would be going after nerfing that. They don't nerf one-man armies unless it's John. They nerf John's armies, but no one other than John. So I think you'll be fine. I think that orders are undoubtedly the strongest part of Guard, and I don't see them messing with them too aggressively. They have basically been the same thing since like 5th edition, maybe longer. It's going to be what it is. Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I'd love to see some kind of like leadership oriented thing, because theoretically one of the weaknesses of Guard is leadership stuff, and we already have that. If you're battle shock, you don't get an order thing, but maybe like you have to roll a battle shock test for the order issuing unit to to give the order.
Back to 5th edition.
Yeah,
where if you roll a fail it, they just spout nonsense and they gobbledygook and
Dude,
and then your unit's confused.
From a lore perspective, you're like, imagine you're a guardsman, bro, and you get on the intercom like, go stand out in the center in front of the enemy tank lines, and you're like, okay, no problem, we're gonna go straight in, no battle shock necessary. We're in there, but like, no, dude, you got a battle shock. You gotta have that, you know.
Yeah, these guys are issuing orders to like literal potatoes born yesterday. Like they're not the most efficient system in the world. I think that'd be able to build in a fun amount of like failure points, you know?
Yeah.
I would just like to see Vox casters not be automatic. That's garbage tech. That should not just be, oh, surprise, we brought walkie-talkies.
Maybe like
the main conceit of our army just doesn't.
Maybe other armies should figure out basic walkie-talkies. I'm just saying.
Says the
it's not that
Synax,
complicated.
Hey, Orcs have figured it out. They've got an enhancement for
orders.
walkie-talkies.
Okay, yeah, sorry. To answer the question overall, they're probably not going to nerf it, but they probably should, is the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably won't touch an army rule, though, like points.
Also, at the end of the day, if you want to go build and paint recon, what you're going to end up doing is building and painting a bunch of guardsmen for the bunch of different regiments to fill the different roles, which as long as those continue to be separate data sheets in one codex, are going to fluctuate what's good and what's not a bad thing to have around. I don't think you'll hate yourself for that project. Try to like hit some of all of it instead of like doing all the Cadians and then all of the Catechins, because if it does get nerfed, you'll be more bummed in that situation if you painted just 100 Cadians. But you know,
also I don't know if Scions and Casterkin are really being spammed in recon, but I mean those are kind of evergreen data sheets from the last couple of years of experience.
Yep, absolutely. Deep strike shooting generally good.
Rear with the wound and sussed, pretty good.
From Dennis. Asked for me to follow up on a comment I made earlier in the Discord. Nids, I think, have utility in teams right now. I'll talk more about it, but I think Invasion's great in pairings. What do I mean by that? What's up, Alex?
I just want to say that Tyranid players are the biggest cryberries in the whole edition. In that Tyranids they've always been decent in teams, I think, at least. Not even mine singles, but there are so many different builds for Tyranids that it's actually insane, and that if you want to, you can build for the meta, which I think is stronger than a lot of other armies have.
Holy shit. Could not have said a truer statement, mister.
Betcha nuts, Hang King.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, Tyler, you actually play the army. You can talk.
No, that's fine. Every comment that I hear from you guys saying how Tyranids are actually really good and everyone's just a crybaby is just feeding my ego, because I just beat all your asses. That's not my my problem about the army being too good. Moving on. I think that Invasion Swarm has a great matrix in teams right now. I think that it bodies Catan, it bodies Scintillating Legion, and then it has play into Guard. The Ultras matchup is not pleasant, but it does happen to, slow things down reasonably well. But still, 2 of the top 4 armies in the game you body? What do you mean? That's an incredible matrix. Everything else is kind of gravy. And then it just plays generally well into the field, does pretty well into some of this everyone's taking CSM these days. The CSM matchup is playable. Trash is down, volume is down. Play the Horde. It's really good. I would totally have played it this weekend, but this Tau list is really, really good. And I really wanted to make sure that it was getting played. Ian wanted to cover Sisters. He had been looking at it for a while. I was really excited about it, having taken it to Palm Springs. It made more sense for the comp to do it the way that we did, but I think there's totally a world where I was playing Nids at this, and admittedly, given that we didn't pair into any Catan or Sint, I'm kind of happy that I didn't have it, but into a top up of the line meta stuff, I think that would have made plenty of sense. It's a great army for that. Some of the other builds I think are a little bit less relevant. I think that Matt Evans' build is a joke. Evan said to me personally, we were talking about it, he's a good buddy of mine, that it's really good into anyone who he can skill gap, and anyone who is at his level or better, he gets blasted. I think that's
Yeah, you know what else? You know what else is good into into a person you can skill cap? Literally any army in the game.
Maybe not agents.
Yeah, this is the conversation I've been having in the AdMech channel that brought this up. Was that I was like, man, I think AdMech has a bad matrix, and people kept being like, yeah, but if I'm better than the Ultramarines player, I win. And I'm like, cool, dude. That's awesome. I love that for you so much.
Can't argue with that one.
Yeah. And then he also has an actual question from Dennis here. Let me get this up. Dennis says, actual question, even though this will potentially change in a few months, whatever. If one has NIDS and AdMech, what army should I go with next to be able to cover team's role if necessary? NIDS theoretically can do it, but not in this meta, not this edition. What does he think is the good third army to put in a NID and AdMech player's hands to better coverage? Do you have a thought there, Alex?
I was just going to go back to what I said earlier. I do think the best third army is, I think Votan is very slept on in 8s. I think every time we saw it, we didn't respect it, and then it did better than we thought. So I think it's just a really solid army. I think, unless you want a really hard push, but I think hard pushing is pretty meta dependent, and I think Votan is always good.
Yep. I think that's a great answer. Grab Votan and as your third could be pretty cool, especially with the ability to skew into these Delve kind of things. I think Delve has proved so popular that kind of archetype is going to be around for the future of Votan and whatever future codices and whatnot look like. It'd be kind of crazy to take it away from him. So I think that's a very different dimension of play style that is nothing like what NIDS or AdMech can do. So maybe worth a look. And, play more, cool, wacky Xenos. Don't play Space Marines. That's cringe. Yeah, excellent. Okay. Sweet. Cool. Well, we are under 3 hours, and I would like to keep it that way. If anyone else has anything else they wanted to say before we wrap up, taking that as a no. Oh, sorry?
Nothing.
Okay, great. Well, with that all being said and done, thank you so much for joining us. I've been Tyler.
I've been Lucas.
I'm Max.
He's been Max. He's been Alex. He's been John. He's been Ian. That guy down there is still Trent.
Bro wants to get out of here.
I want to go to bed. See y'all next time.
It's past your bedtime. CP tight. Bye-bye. It's 10 o'clock. You fucking ancient old man.
We've been doing this for 3 hours, man.
Goo goo gaga. Suck it off, man.
I have to go to work in the morning.
Oh, yeah?
So am I getting paid for this or what?
No.
Yeah, dude.
Twice as much as we gave
Still
you.
waiting on my first check.
Dude, it's in the mail. I'm waiting.